Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Counties Finals. We've got no fewer than 6 finals of Counties Championships going on today. And we're going to start off just by seeing what the scores are at the moment. So we have Yorkshire in the under 1850s, 1.5 half up against Middlesex. We have a 6-1 healthy lead for Essex there in the under 1450s against Surrey. We have Surrey CCA 6.5, 1.5 against Warwickshire in the under 1650s. We have a very evenly poised 2.5 all Essex against Surrey in the under 2050s, and that's where we're going to start off on this stream. And we've got half Norfolk Devon in the Minor Counties Championship, and half in the Open Championship, which is what we were looking at.
Which is one of the games we were just looking at, and where I said I thought I liked Black's position, but Black obviously wasn't as convinced as I was, and they've made an early draw. That was Alan Moulton, and I shouldn't have started that sentence without remembering who he was playing.
Gustavo, yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, so let's first of all let's see the under 2050s, because we haven't looked at those boards at all yet. So that should be it there that we see on the stream now. So I'm just going to head there and go to that top board, which is Dan Rosen against Steve Ricks. So let's have a look here. And it's an Alekine's defence.
Which you used to be a bit of a devotee of, did you not?
Well, I did. And actually, quite a lot of at university, we all played it. And if I'm not mistaken, Steve Ricks is the same Steve Ricks that was also at uni at the same time as me. And we all played the Alekine's together. And so we learnt from Graham Burgess, who had written.
Oh, I thought you were the inspiration.
No, not at all. No. Graham Burgess was the inspiration. He'd actually left by the time I joined, but every single person, we all played the Alekine's.
Well, and he wrote a book.
County matches, we'd all play. And so Phil Crocker, for example, was playing the Alekine's as well. And I'd forgotten actually that Steve Ricks played it, but he was another of the people that played at the same time as me. So so let's see what he makes of it.
And Graham Burgess wrote a book on it shortly after, or a few years after, yeah?
Graham Burgess wrote at least 2 and maybe 3 books on the Alekine's, full of theory, absolutely jam-packed of lines.
Yes.
So and this one actually, the 4 Pawns, he was one of the ones where he had his Stefan Strumpets line or some kind of thing. He did all his puns in the Dragon magazine on this. But I don't remember G6 actually. I used to.
G6 is definitely not a major thing.
No,
I used to taking on D5. Sorry, not taking on E5.
Yeah, taking on E5
relatively unusual, isn't it?
But maybe G6 was one of the strange lines. I can't.
Yes, maybe
remember whether it was. Okay, so let's see. So.
The only thing I remember you guys doing is that you all played some early C6 line in the more modest thing where white goes 4 knight F3.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Everyone did that.
Yeah, we did. But I mean that's
still
the main
quite
line. That was fine.
That's quite respectable, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the Alekine's, isn't it? But it's fairly respectable.
Yeah, the whole opening lost respectability, but the particular lines we played within it were fine.
Yes.
Dan Rosen, of course, I know quite well as well. He is known for his terrible puns. He has he makes puns on absolutely everything.
Hello. I didn't have time to figure out why. Oh, I see. Yeah, so somewhere in the middle of that, when Black took on D1, if White had taken the rook, I think that.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I'm not sure. I think anything. Yeah, no, I don't have a thought on that. Why doesn't White take with the rook?
It's a natural move to consider. I have to agree. Takes.
Bishop takes F3 and Knight C4 doesn't work because there's B7 hanging, and
Yeah.
Maybe White thinks that after some Knight C6. Maybe it all looks a little bit passive, but maybe the knight. Maybe the knight's just good on e3. I should probably look to the positives rather than the. It may be that the knight on e3 is just a very good piece, and that means that knight takes d1 to e3 is a sensible idea. Just looks, it's slightly jarring when you rush through it and see knight takes rather than rook takes, but I think this is sort of fair enough. I mean, when white plays b3, I suppose at that moment black tries to play f6 or something, because otherwise we've got that thing I said in the modern where that if you get this d takes e5 or d takes c5, d takes e5 structure, like it, that bishop's just shut out, and it needs f6
on here again,
to liven it up again, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm interrupting your flow, really.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to kind of whiz through because I know this game actually has finished. So,
okay.
Yeah. Okay. And so Steve redeploys his bishop. It's
I was just going to say that allows him to play knight b4 and try and trade off another pair of pieces.
Right. Yeah. He's done that.
Now you got a sort of typical position now where I'm sure that white must be a little bit better, and I'm sure that I can imagine the engine being quite excited for white here, but humans might be less entirely. I mean, I'm sure white's a bit better, but finding the plan. I mean, obviously, if the knight is kicked by c5, it always has the d5 square, so you've got to find some way to make progress without giving black's pieces any super squares.
It's this knight on b6, isn't it? It's a bit of a pain.
Well, the knight on b6 should be a bit rubbish. I mean, that should be the Achilles heel of the Alekhines, really, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
If you play very directly, sort of a3, bishop back, a4, then the knight has time to go to c8.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't see that, you've got to be careful that you don't end up with a hole on b4. So I don't think
now Kevin Winter's asking about the c4, the old c4 line versus the Alekhine 4 pawns. Thinks it's reputed, but still plays it. Yeah.
Sorry, which line? The c? Oh, that c4 for black, where they take and play.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that won't stand up to too much engine scrutiny, but it could still be fun against the unwary opponent.
And we have the crowd cheering for Norfolk at the moment.
Well, we have the Norfolk crowd cheering for Norfolk.
We do, which is Norfolk would be in the minor counties, isn't it?
Is it not Norfolk playing Devon in the minor counties?
Norfolk versus Devon in the minor counties.
Should we clarify what minor counties means?
Sorry?
Should we just clarify what minor counties means in terms of qualification? It's a bit of an odd one, isn't it?
Go for it.
Well, it just sounds odd that you have something called the minor counties and then you have sort of a GM on board one. And I think there is a grading restriction, but it's an overall team restriction rather than an individual restriction. So, the whole team on average has to be under 2050. But within that, you have a lot of flexibility. So they have Keith Arkle on ball one, and then they must have some players who, allow someone with kind of an extra 350 points or something on, there will be another player compensating for Keith Arkle and Jack Rudd and people. So it's quite an interesting idea to have a sort of overall limit for the team, but not exclude very strong players. I quite like
because then the captain will look for players of good value on your grade.
You need to give some thought to who provides the necessary value for the rating point. I don't know, I find that quite appealing in some way, rather than having a kind of, maybe it's because it would be, it's just sort of, rather than having a very strict limit, you have some balance within the team. It's a nice concept.
Bottom board for Devon is 1380. Yeah, okay, so it does all even out.
Yeah, it sort of evens out, and I'm sure that they are. I didn't see any grading averages for the team, but I took a quick flip through the team, and I could see why they'd managed to even it out okay. But
you know what, this one we're looking at though is an under 2050. But I've just noticed Dan Rosen's grade is 2060, but maybe that's a lead chess.
Well, now you've ruined everything.
I've ruined the whole image here. Yeah.
What have you said? I don't know. There will be a reason for that. We confidently assert.
Anyway, the guys agreed to draw.
By the way, I don't like rook d. I think if you're trying to win with white, you don't change the pieces. If you're playing rook d1, you're probably about to offer a draw or something.
Yeah, he did. He offered a draw.
Which is what he did. No, I mean, it looks a perfectly good move to offer a draw with. But if you are trying to exploit your space and your bishop pair, that's not what you do. You keep the pieces on. But okay, I mean, I think you sort of understand that white's better, but proving it isn't so easy, and the draw is an acceptable outcome. So that's the only the 2 games finished in this match, I think. Yeah, that's the first of them.
Under 2050, I think there's a few games finished.
Maybe
2.5. Essex, Surrey.
Sorry, I'm confused. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's look at the next board. Edgar Wilson against Daniel Young. So Edgar, who turned also from Italy in the Seniors Championship.
Okay.
And we have a Sicilian. Okay, and Edgar pushes the pawn up to a5, and that kind of Black's b pawn, so it can't go.
Is this one of the lines where Black is kind of Black's main sort of counterplay tends to be changing the structure with knight c5? I think it might be one of those lines where there isn't a lot of, if you look at Black's pawn break options and stuff, with b5 off the table, obviously, and I think Black kind of needs knight c5 in order to have something which kind of it creates this symmetrical structure in terms of, there's no d pawns on the board anymore. There's going to be an exchange on c5, but it's actually reasonably unbalanced because White still has some space, but Black might be able to play c4 later, and the queens tend to come off. So this isn't the reason the Najdorf has its reputation for sort of fiery tactical whatever, but it is. Yeah. There's some imbalance still here. I think the queens tend to come off.
Yeah, so they have exchanged the knights, rook d1 and c4.
Yeah.
Played by Daniel Young.
I think something with this very quick c4. I wonder if that hails from one of Joe Gallagher's repertoire books or something. I have this vague feeling it either hails from one of Joe Gallagher's repertoire books or he had an alternative. This move was on one side of the argument involving Joe Gallagher. I know that, and I think it feels to me like this should be a decent attempt to equalise, but for those people who expect the Najdorf to be a little bit scary for White as well, and you have to be very accurate to make sure you don't lose. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how easy it is for Black to play for more than equality here.
Yeah,
but I may be wrong on that, and the Najdorf devotees may tell me so as well.
Now we thought the queens might come off, but actually, Daniel Young.
He's actually
avoided the exchange. So yeah, he's for keeping the game going, and with the queens.
I don't have an immediate sort of hunch as to who that benefits. I can see that White's queen could sit sort of happily on c1.
I mean, I prefer White's queen now, I think.
I guess Black's is coming to c6, and then we have to see whether the pressure on e4. Well, White can defend e4 very easily. I suspect it's. Oh, hello. That changes everything. Because now, well, certainly it enables, at the very least, it's likely to change the structure. And does that enable Black to take on e4?
Oh, you certainly c4 now. I suppose you take on e7.
We could take on e7 if we're worried about that one running away. And then some queen e3 or something, I guess.
E3, how's this?
It's probably.
So if the knight moves.
I mean, if I want to keep my pawn, I have to try bishop f5, right?
Bishop f5.
And the queen is defending the e pawn, so a simple f3 won't quite win the pawn back.
So f3. Knight
f6 or something. Yeah.
f6, but then you've got bishop c5, haven't you?
I haven't. Well, you haven't, because I'm covering it, I hope.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
If I'm not covering it, then...
No, you're absolutely right.
Maybe... Well, c2's hit as well, actually. So...
Yeah.
It's not so...
Okay, so Black's just won a pawn.
Black's won a pawn. It's not, it's not massively... If I play sort of rook d2 followed by rook d1, it's not massively easy to... I mean, that bishop on b6 is a bit of a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
But I'd be surprised if this was not a viable option for Black, at least. Probably more than that.
Mm.
You can play knight d7 to evict that bishop if you really want to. Although I suspect, the queen on b6 might represent reasonable compensation as well. But did he not take on e4?
No, he did not.
Okay, I would
So
have
we've
thought
got
that was a
this.
possibility.
So takes. So I suppose we don't have to take on e.
No, we don't have to take. So it might be better just to go queen e3 now.
Yeah. Yeah, and then 7 if you want.
Well, then, just to be consistent, I would probably want to have a quick look at bishop f5 anyway, just to see if I'm
Bishop f5
holding everything together. But of course, it's annoying to take that pressure off your knight. So
yeah. So if knight c7, you've got
bishop
queen
f3 might be interesting.
Bishop f3.
Because if the knight retreats, we have the slightly unusual knight c7, and I can't see a square for black's queen.
Yeah. This is a better way, isn't it?
Well, certainly. Well, actually, bishop f3 is a better way anyway, because after knight f6 or something, the e-pawn hangs anyway. So yeah, this is a much better option. This makes sense of what white did, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. I think taking on e7 helps black reorganize his pieces.
Yeah.
Okay, this is worth knowing why somebody's able to leave their pawn on. So the change of structure happens anyway with bishop takes.
Yeah. So bishop takes d5. E takes.
And bishop d6. Oh, bishop c5. Okay.
Bishop c5.
So he's not worried about blocking his pawn. He's just worried about blockading. Okay. No, but positionally, that's quite well motivated. One of the ways for black to get an enjoyable position might be to show that the knight on f6 is every bit as good as the bishop on e2 in some position. Okay, so
well, white played d6.
I was wondering whether something. Oh, okay, no d6. No, that makes sense actually, perhaps. But now I guess black will blockade on d7 somehow. Yeah.
Queen d7.
Oh, I didn't really mean with the queen, but okay.
Are you thinking with the knight? Yeah, knight's.
Well, I'm obviously too classical. That's my gut instinct on a blockading job. But so okay. But okay, the queen gets a bit restricted by her blockading functions, but if we can round up the pawn and render it vulnerable, that would be fine. Bishop takes. Rook fc8, I assume.
Yep. Bishop f3.
Bishop f3 makes pretty good sense. Queen b5. You see, this is the bit that made me a little bit nervous, the thought of this queen having to leave the pawn, but
yeah.
So what do we do here with white? Do we have a...
Edgar just kind of removed any back rank mates.
Well, let's just say, so if white played... No, it's not so easy, because if white plays d7, we might be able to just go rook d8. If for some reason knight takes bishop g4 was scary or something like that.
Yeah.
h3. Yeah, I think unless white's quick about it, then the d6 pawn is as likely to become vulnerable as it is to be a dangerous weapon. But
yeah, I don't see how to sort of safely advance it, for example.
Well, how about, I would consider a move like b4 here for white.
b4 is what Edgar played.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Takes, and that's where we're up to.
Okay. So my idea had been to play probably pawn takes, and then... Sorry, one thought actually. Before can we just go back to before b4? So yeah. After, yeah.
Here we go.
Presumably, there's a good reason why bishop takes b7 isn't a good move.
Ah. Interesting. Okay. Bishop takes b7. Let's put it on.
Apart from attempting to just win a pawn, it does also threaten bishop takes a6 with a by now familiar tactical idea.
Yes.
Would that have been annoying? Because he's got. It's useful to have h3 on the board, get rid of any sort of knight g4 type shots in conjunction with this. The thing is, the rook on c5 doesn't actually have a legal move, so it makes it harder to find a convincing antidote.
Looks good, doesn't it?
Well, I'm just wondering if there might almost. I don't know whether black foresaw this. It feels slightly sort of random, but it's maybe knight d5 because I can't quite see. I think white might have to take on d5 then because the queen can't. Well, she can stay hitting the rook, but queen a3 looks a bit unnatural.
Yeah. So takes.
Rook takes, and maybe it's going to be very hard because we can't connect. We can't put another rook on d1 after an exchange or something. Nothing's defending d1, so maybe this will be enough to.
So just take.
Yeah, although it's But moves like queen b6 might be. You could look at queen b6 here as well or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just sort of feels. I've just seen that if you play rook takes. No, I was going to say rook takes d6, and then if queen takes b5, white loses to rook takes d1 check, and then the queen gets taken at the end of it all.
Oh.
But I don't think that's probably the most important variation. No, after rook 8 takes d6, white can take on d5, and black is still struggling, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe not. Queen takes. How bad is this?
Queen takes d5?
Yeah, well, rook takes is very bad because we would be able... Oh, no, maybe even rook takes isn't very bad. Maybe black's just doing fine here.
Okay.
But it all looks slightly... I don't know, there's something slightly tenuous feeling about that for black, but maybe he had it covered.
Yeah.
Anyway, bishop takes b7 was an interesting possibility, but b4 I quite liked positionally as well. So is white still thinking about how to take back?
No, I think these are actual moves.
Okay, that's what I wanted to do, I think.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Oh, actually, white's still threatening this bishop b7.
I think that's true. Yes.
But it's black's go, so black could go 95 maybe or something.
I mean, my original idea was to play something like to be threatening b4 here, actually.
For white?
Yeah, and if queen takes, I think rook db1, it's quite difficult to stay defending the rook.
Ah, yeah.
Oh, no, that's not true. There's queen c3, but it's still white's going to... I don't know, maybe that idea doesn't work at all. Okay, I'll stick with my bishop b7 idea. That was probably sounder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, it's a very interesting position. And now black's having a think here, yeah?
That's right.
Okay. We should zip through because we ought to probably return to the...
So Philip Simpson... Stimpson. Philip Stimpson against Roman Ismailov.
Okay.
Okay, 2 knights c3.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan, although the this Jabava version is better than the bishop g5 version, in my opinion. But we used to think all this sort of thing was a bit weird because there were no pawn breaks for white, really, apart from e4, which you could have played on move 1. But things are not apparently quite that simple.
Yeah, I thought this opening was popular with junior players, but Philip's not. I've played Philip before, ages ago. So I don't think he can be a junior player.
However long ago I think I've played someone, the reality is usually even longer, so he probably...
Yeah. Okay. But that knight on e5 looks pretty impressive there.
Yeah, it's a bit of a dude, but the other one on a4 is...
Oh, yeah, not so much.
Well, less less obviously in support of it. But no, I think if I was choosing, I'd rather be white slightly here. That's kind of critical, isn't it? If you can. You see, there's the Achilles heel for white. That knight on b2, that's still not a great piece, is it really?
Yeah. And it's not obvious.
Well, it's not so obvious how to make it better either.
Yeah. There.
I would have been tempted, if white could, I'd have been tempted to go sort of queen f3 to h3 in order to have cheap tactics in the position. Not now. I mean, it's too late now because there's c takes d4 and the rook's hanging on c1. At some point, instead of queen d2, I would have rather put it in that direction. Then it seems like you're kind of, what's the right way of putting it? Sort of complimenting the good things about white's position rather than trying to.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, hello. Does that threaten knight takes f7? It's close, but it doesn't, I think.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, you don't always need to be threatening it. You just need to make your opponent believe it's threatening it. That's kind of enough to produce a concession.
Yeah, I mean, black did defend, kind of.
Well, exactly. I mean, you might think that it's not quite threatening it, but you might feel a bit nervous about it anyway. It's a perfectly rational thing to do, I think.
Okay, and white played actually b5 here.
Okay.
Okay, 8, g4.
By the way, since I suggested knight f7 as a possibility, black's been really overprotecting it, hasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Nipshevich would be well pleased with that. Yep. You see, he's ended up on h3 anyway. He's just done it by a slightly circuitous route.
Yeah, I mean, that's not threatening.
It's not directly threatening anything, but you just sort of threaten to threaten, don't you?
Yeah. Maybe.
One potential source of counterplay, I was just going to say, is c takes d4 and queen b4, or queen a. No, not queen a3 loses a queen, but queen b4 sort of reminds us that horse on b2 is a bit of an issue. Yeah, I was just going to say, so white.
So what, queen b4 now?
Isn't threatening anything, but okay, in that case, there's knight takes d7 because the knight on f8 is needed to protect h7. So there is a sort of overloading issue, or no, overworking issue going on there. Quite aside.
Okay, so that might be why he takes this one.
Yeah, I think so, but it's sort of a concession. It's not a simple solution. Although it's probably, this queen b4 is a very useful resource. So
yeah, he gets it in now.
It's not just the commentary team. There were other overworking issues going on. Yeah, you see the counterplay. That queen b4 was a real sort of. Now d4's dropping, and white's setup starts to look very incoherent.
Yeah.
I mean, if you wanted to sort of write a description of the problem with the Jabava variation, it must be that knight, on c3, it's put on c3 on move 2, and then often it's not very clear to me what its role is. I'm pretty sure a4 to b2 is not its preferred route, I don't think. This looks just winning for black now, actually, because f4 is hanging, and once the d4 pawn's gone, the bishop on b7 ceases to be a sort of passive piece.
Yeah, because that queen can just move out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so queen e3.
Okay.
Queen c3.
Yeah, I think black's probably
threatening d4 now, just winning the queen.
Black's right not to want to. I wonder if white could play. Oh no, there's d4 threatening to win. That's very true. That's a bit of a blow.
Yeah. So Philip defends with f3.
Ooh, that's not on your bucket list at the start of this opening, is it?
Yeah. Queen c5.
d4 is tempting. Oh, I think in that position, my gut feeling is that I'd rather play with the queens on, because white's king is in quite a lot of danger. I mean, of course, you're a pawn up in an ending, and there's plenty of grounds for playing queen c5 as well. But
yeah. Okay. So this one's looking
terrific for black.
Black. Yeah. Okay. Let's see, John Davenport against Martin Smith. So these guys are still like in the high 1900s, in the under 2050. And we've got an early b3 in this opening.
It's a sort of double hedgehog. You don't see that many. I'm being from the sort of Tachnik kind of generation. I mean, he's a bit older than me, thank goodness, but that sort of generation. I tend to sort of have a inbuilt prejudice in favour of the knight being on d7 rather than d2. So rather than c6 or c. So I like the fact that black's knight's on d7, not blocking the bishop, as opposed to white's on c3. If my knight was on c3, I'd have been more inclined to play d4 than d3, I think. So in this pure sort of almost symmetrical opening, I sort of kind of like the fact that black's got his knight on d7, but I mean that's not.
Yeah, it's still
not by way of an assessment. That's more like the sort of spirit of the thing kind of feeling.
Yeah. Quite cagey play by both players.
Nothing. It is, yeah, that's fair.
Going past the fourth rank.
Oh, and then proposing a.
Will we get an exchange of bishops, maybe? Yes. Black blocks with d5.
Oh, wow, okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone could object to your description of cagey at that point, but okay, it's all about to. What we say, 95? If 95, you're competing for that long diagonal, there must be a case for kicking the bishop off it.
Yeah.
I mean, there still may be issues playing d4 with the rook on the c file and black's queen on c7, so it may not be that easy to then go d4. But it feels like 95 hitting the bishop must be the right move. It pretty much forces bishop back to e2 because you're hitting. Oh, you're not hitting e3. I'm getting too excited, but you're hitting the bishop. I would take that.
Yeah, you probably would go back, wouldn't you?
Yeah, okay, but then if I'm playing something like d4, I want that knight on g6, so it might be able to come to f4. Black's position might come to life a little bit then.
Yeah.
I might even sack a pawn. I might go d4 takes, and if tactically I can't take back because of some scary knight move, then I'll just go knight g6 here and have an f4 square to come to and liven the game up.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know, but I would as black, I would certainly be looking at trying to. Okay, white has an e4 square. Again, I might be getting a bit excited, but it feels like black ought to be able to do something along those lines to show that if you go bishop f3 and it can get kicked off the diagonals, that show that tempo matters. Okay, so but he went.
So he didn't go knight 5. It was queen.
He went bishop d6. Also reasonable, but okay, after g3, you can't then kick the bishop off the diagonal with knight e5. You can only push it back along the diagonal.
Yeah, yeah, and g3 that would be quite a normal move, I think, for white.
The move I'd want to play, unless d3 was going to be so weak, because
yeah, white played h3 actually.
I'll tell you what, actually, g3, knight e5, knight e5, bishop g2 or something. You might almost want to look at some knight g4 move with a sack on f2 and another knight coming to g4 and thinking of the. Thinking of the Deng against Rajabov game yesterday, thinking of that rook e3 that came in and all that sort of reminds me of this. I think black has some active ideas here anyway. That looks a bit scary, doesn't it? You'd be a bit scared.
It does look a bit scary, yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it wins or something, but it would be fun and it would enable black to sue you for calling it cagey or whatever. So 95.
So 95 still.
No, that's fair enough. It came anyway. Actually, the knight g6 ideas are reasonable here too.
So black is getting some activity now, I think. So
he is, and black could have taken that and then played knight g6, which guarantees the f4.
Here, or just take here.
Well, I think so. Okay, the bishop on b7 won't vote for it, but the others might, because after knight g6. We've got knight f4 ideas, and if white plays g3, it all looks a little bit shaky as well. Presumably rook takes c3 is not it might be a threat. Again, I think this is another way to do it for black, but obviously you're not taking is okay too. But then white has the chance to try and take back on d4 with a piece and show that nothing has seriously got damaged over there.
Okay.
Okay, so we should be a bit quick actually. So I keep
Let's see.
Keep getting excited. Oh, what happened there? We're on a different game.
So we are looking at Gwyneth Haridas against Peter Jaskieski.
Okay.
And a Queen's Gambit declined.
White can play g4 directly, but okay, h3 is okay too. But g4 directly is the sort of sharp stuff.
Okay, so actually just on move 7 here, g4.
Just getting on with it.
Okay.
Complicated stuff though. And
h4.
Yeah, you see, for example, here white would have been able to do h4 in one move if black had played.
Saved a move, yeah.
I mean, he couldn't. Black can't do it exactly like this. White, but it's. That looks like an attractive diagonal, but I'm not sure how easy it's going to be to show that it is.
f6.
Ooh, rook g1 is a slightly odd prophylactic move, but f6 sort of feels like it justifies it, if in a sense. Although you could argue that black's targeting the h4 pawn and showing that the rook should be on h1. So I suppose black could make a. There's two ways of looking at it, aren't there?
Yeah.
It's very interesting, sharp stuff, actually.
It's very sharp, yeah. Because, this G line could become open, couldn't it? And then...
Yeah, I kind of think, okay, it looks like bishop 8, after g takes f6, bishop takes h4 might be a scary threat. But if you think that white could at any moment take on e4 and then sort of arrange to castle queenside quickly, you might find that black regrets the g-file more than white regrets the weak h4 pawn. But he's decided to cash in on that one straight away.
Knight c3, bishop g6.
Queen b3, maybe? I don't know.
Queen b3, did you say?
Perhaps. Queen somewhere.
Yeah.
Kind of quite like white's activity here, I think.
Yeah, because that knight on f8 has to stay there really to...
Well, it kind of does, yeah. No, I think I quite like white's position, really.
Yeah, okay, queen b3 has... Let's delete that one because that hasn't actually been played.
That's me.
So here we go. All right. And
is this the position now?
This is it, yeah.
Oh, wow, okay. So does that mean they've been playing fairly slowly?
Yeah.
This game started...
Yeah, because white only has 26 minutes left.
Okay, these guys are enjoying the luxury of the unusually generous time control.
Yeah, the long time control.
Why not? Okay. Interesting, really interesting opening. I like that.
Okay.
I mean, it's an interesting line anyway, but they gave it sort of some odd twists. Look at this. This immediately strikes me as an interesting minor piece clash in which the textbook bad bishop, because it's outside the pawn chain, is actually a beast.
Yeah.
You've got these, every pawn is on a white square, but because it's outside the pawn chain on a key outpost, it's an absolute monster.
Yes, and the knight, I don't know where the knight's going to go.
Well, the knight, yeah, exactly. It's sort of not exactly knight against bad bishop, is it? I mean, is it black's move or white? If it's black's move, I would seriously look at something like rook h2, which basically means the f4 knight has no squares anymore.
It's his white's go.
It's white's go, is it? Yeah, trouble is, not since knight e2 is met by bishop f3, I'm not quite sure how white even goes about preventing that.
Someone's put analysis in here, but it wasn't us.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this is Ivan Mael against Julian Shepley.
Sorry, Ivan. Oh, okay.
Mael.
we've come to players where I've played both of them.
Okay.
This is exactly the version of the London system I had the other day, except as I said in my comment, I avoided e6. I went bishop f5, but exactly that move order.
Oh, right, yeah.
Which I think is one of the better move orders for
This
white.
was, so here you didn't play, you just played bishop f5.
I went bishop f5, yeah.
Yeah.
And black needs to know that after queen b3, because white can obviously attack b7 once the bishop isn't there, black kind of needs to know that the natural queen d7 leads to a lot of difficulties with knight f3 to e5, but queen c8 is a good move, and you just have to live without the possibility of challenging the bishops.
So queen c8 here.
Yeah, queen c8 is a good move here, and I think that black is basically fine in this position. Although it's complicated, of course, as these things are.
Yeah.
But that's a setup. You asked me what I did against the London
Yeah,
system.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
the
yeah.
setup I had.
Very interesting. Yeah,
less than a week
delay
ago.
that e6 and yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I avoid e6. It's almost a prejudice, the extent to which I avoid e6 in these lines. Sometimes I'm sure e6 is a good move. Okay, so and black played e6.
Yeah.
d3, bishop d6.
And we get this exchange.
This is almost the position we had earlier where white went bishop g3, isn't it? But this time he's opted just to exchange.
Yes.
And of course, we said that would facilitate black trying to play e5, so white's gone f4 to. That's one of the reasons to take is to have this very different approach, I suppose.
Yeah.
Oh, queen f3. That's interesting.
I thought it was going to put the knight there.
Well, you might think. I wonder if there may be some reason why that's not clever. It might be that after. I wonder if there were some lines where black is intending sort of knight b4, sort of c takes d4, c takes knight b4, and that if white gets the chance, they prefer to be able to take with the e pawn. That's why they're defending f4.
Right. Yeah.
But I suspect they still want to play knight f3 ultimately, so they'll put the queen somewhere and then maybe play knight f3. I'm not sure though. It may be white might be about to go knight e2 and just show that I'm talking nonsense.
Oh. White actually did something completely different, which was g4.
That I didn't see coming.
Yeah.
But that may not necessarily be my mistake. But it may be. I mean, why not? You can have some fun here. But it's not obvious to me that black can't castle queenside, and that obviously asks some questions about g4, I suppose.
Yeah.
Oh, knight is going to e2, okay. Queen e7.
Knight g3.
Or why that's necessary? Yep.
And now he does castle queenside. In fact, both sides castle queenside.
I wouldn't have predicted that coming out of the opening, I don't think.
No.
Okay, I mean, actually, I quite, black doesn't have obvious breaks, and if white can play sort of h4 and g5, why not?
Yeah.
Space.
d7. Thanks for the follow, Scar 234.
Not sure about king b1. I would have just gone on.
And we do read the chat, yes. h4, rook c8, and g5. So Ivan is trying to, I don't know, like get his pawns, get space on the king's side. Takes, knight e8. And rook h7. So keeping that.
Yeah, I mean, white's doing quite well at showing that what I said about black can castle queenside and kind of dummy all this. There's still some initiative for white, isn't there? He's making a good case for his g4 move.
Yeah,
I think black could have probably defended it more cleanly, but it's interesting. It's not so clear where black's counterplay is coming from either. Oh, I like the knight on d6, so that's a good maneuver. Knight h5 now to try and force g6.
Knight h5, looking at the g7 pawn.
Well, yeah, and if g6, very much looking at the f6 square.
Yeah. That's where you get. But black dropped back now with the knight.
Yes, okay.
Queen h3, so everything's coming onto this h file. Okay. And here's where we start getting this and we see how this endgame arose. So here's where the exchange happened of bishop for knight.
Thank you. I've just received a compliment on the chat.
Oh,
I'm not sure that's entirely true anymore, but I try.
very nice.
I haven't played many Trompovskis lately, I have to admit.
Oh well, it's time to wheel it out again.
Do you think?
Yeah, Trompovsky's fun. Not that I play it myself, but you should write a book on the Trompovsky, says the chat.
Yes, another one.
Rook h4, king a7.
Yeah, I kind of got a bit confused with that, but can you just go back a moment?
Yeah.
So, somewhere here, I feel like white should have... Like, is f5 a move here, just using the pin?
So black went here.
Oh,
yeah?
it's black's going ahead bishop b5 already. Okay.
Yeah.
Then f5 involves more complexity.
No, yeah, well then you've got bishop d3 complications.
It is complications, but I'm still not sure that's so bad. But yeah, okay, I take the point. So we had to go king... Yes.
So he went king a1.
Yeah, I think there's not quite time to do what he needed to do. I would need to look more slowly to see exactly where, but it feels like black putting his bishop on that diagonal improves his position a lot, and I suspect white should have taken some.
Yeah.
Because at the time when white played bishop b5 takes c6, I think I quite liked all that. I wonder if white could have directly put the knight on e5 or something, cutting out bishop d3.
Okay, cutting out bishop d3.
Something like that.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Obviously, if you put all your eggs on the H file, it could rebound if the play ends up being somewhere else. So, B, knight f5. Okay. Yeah, it's about time white improved that horse on d2. I'm sure at some point that needs to play more of a convincing role in proceedings.
It's looking quite nice for black now, isn't it? It was looking nice for white a few moves ago.
Until you but when you start to think, where's black actually going to do something, then it's not so clear to me. I can see that, yeah, but yes. Yeah, now I think that's probably a mistake because that position we came to at the start, the bishop on e4 is so obviously better than the knight on f4 that somehow white had to avoid that possibility for black, I think. Now it feels like, whoa, that knight, because that's sort of losing control of the h file with the bishop on e4 ruins the knight on f4 as well somehow.
Yeah.
So in this position, should white have cut his losses and played rook takes h8 and g6, something like that, just to try and...
I'll go back here.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So if I play rook takes h8 for white and then play g6, so it's just to try and exchange that knight off.
Okay.
Am I going to be able to hold that rook ending? I suspect I might. In
other words, bishop takes.
It may not even be just... Well, I mean, you could throw in rook h4, but I have rook f1, and I don't think it improves your situation at all. It probably makes it worse, actually. And here I kind of think, if you have to take with the bishop, I'll take...
Yeah.
I'll go rook f7 check, king c6, and then I'll play some move to prevent myself getting mated.
Don't get mated.
b1 or b3. I haven't worked out which yet, or something like that. And I don't think white is worse because I'm threatening.
No, it must be fine for white.
Threatening rook e7 actually,
Yeah.
could change things quite a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's a really key moment. I mean, if you want to find a key moment and towards the end of the thing,
yeah,
that's probably it. I think that's a once, the last chance white has to, to get rid of that wonderful bishop on e4. So
Yeah, so that all came out of white playing g6, which looks like a good idea then.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea, unless I'm missing something obvious, which is also
Yeah.
possible. But it feels like the right thing to do.
A3 an alternative instead of king b2. Yes, I think so as well.
Instead of king b2.
So
Do you mean
b1.
instead of king b1 now?
Yeah.
Yeah, b3, a3, any of them, just not getting mated, really. It's not very... It wasn't meant to be a sophisticated moment. I was trying not to get mated.
Yeah.
You're right. B3 is probably the worst because black might be able to play b4. Yeah, maybe a3.
Okay, so we had this.
Yeah. So bishop g6, knight h5, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right, and this was where we were thinking of.
Yeah, now not having done that, I
So
think.
this didn't happen. This didn't happen. So this was what actually happened was rook g4, g6.
Yeah, now that g6 moment's gone, probably g6 is a response to black, having seen what white could have done. Very often you see people putting paid to alternatives just after they've failed to happen, and this just looks horrible for white now, I think.
Yeah. Okay, h5.
Oh, no, not rook h5.
Sorry?
Please not rook h5. It must have been something else. Rook h2? h5's on prise.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure it was on h2, the position we arrived at.
yeah, maybe. Let me refresh the screen because I'm not quite 100% on which of the moves that played and which one. There was lots of analysis on this one, so I don't know if.
Right. Oh yeah, that's right.
But
I'm pretty confident there was no rook h5. Black's playing far too well.
I don't know. I mean, it is saying rook h5, to be honest, but
can you see that having happened? I mean, they.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I can't tell you for sure.
And knight e2 makes no sense either because bishop f3 was there, so something went wrong at that point. But I suspect this is.
I don't know because people have been putting moves in, so I'm not 100% sure what's real and what isn't in this one.
Yes. I mean, now it looks. Oh no! So there's a nice trick here that if rook g2 to try and pin the knight, white can take on g4. White can take on e4 anyway with a fork on d6.
Yeah.
Solving his problems, and indeed doing better than solving his problems probably because at the end he can play rook f1, and f7 will drop.
Scar's asking about us looking at a study afterwards. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see how. Yeah, because we probably really want to go back to the open match in a moment as well. Yeah? Okay, so this one is not quite sure where. So has it got to? Where's it got to?
I can't tell you.
I mean, no worries. Yeah. Okay, shall we go back to the open and concentrate on the?
Okay, so
we haven't seen those guys for a while.
Let's see the open. If I share my other screen. Okay, open. There we go. Now we saw up to about board 9 or 10, I think. We saw that one definitely. Which
I'm still seeing the old position, Natasha. Sorry.
Let me press share the show on the stream. That one is correct.
It's correct.
So here we go. So we saw this one. This turned into a draw. We've got actually plenty more boards.
Oh, sorry, board 1 is already a draw, yeah?
No, this was board 9. Alan Morton.
Oh no, that's the one we mentioned at the start was a draw.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That
Do you want to? We can start at the top again.
Yeah, let's start at the top again. I think.
Yeah.
Just
okay. So Richard Palliser
certainly moved on a long way.
Danny Gormelli.
Right. I'm trying now to remember what we said about this game when we left it.
Yes.
Okay. So it was. Yeah, that's right. It was the C4 Caro-Kann.
So where exactly?
That's right. We were deciding whether white was going to try and save his d pawn or give it up under, and he played bishop c4 and tried to keep it. I think that's probably the. Yes.
Here we are. So bishop c4.
Okay, there we go. Castles.
Castle.
d3, a6.
Turning b5. Well, b5 you can take, but it's a bit complicated.
b5 is a threat because after takes, black has knight b6, hitting the queen and defending the rook. In fact, I think I once hit one of the players in the game we were just looking at with exactly that idea.
Oh, right. Huh. Okay, so bishop b3, stopping.
Yeah, this feels to me like white's opening's gone a bit wrong. I don't like it if we have to do that.
Yeah, because Danny's now gone knight c5.
I need to shut. I don't like shutting the sun out, but it's very bright in the room. That's good. Knight c5. Yeah, this just looks very awkward. I wonder what went wrong with Richard's prep, because Richard is one of the great opening experts in the country, I think it's fair to say. Long time second to Gawain Jones. And
well, remember, he's a pawn up, isn't he?
Yeah, he certainly needs to be. This looks... I'm pretty sure this isn't what white wants when he starts this line. But I can't work out exactly what he's done wrong. Okay, so bishop b3. Maybe this is some stuff that I haven't remembered correctly, but I would rather be black here, I think. Just feels like black's very active for a pawn. Knight fd7. What happens to knight fd7? I wonder. That's looked to me like...
here.
Maybe white's just very materialistic. If I go, if I'm that greedy, if I go knight fd7, white could just play bishop c2 and meet b5 with queen h4, and then the queen's quite healthy again over there. Then I'm starting to look for bishop h6 and knight g5 and stuff. No, that's fine for white. Sorry, I misjudged that a bit. So takes on b3 makes very good sense.
Okay, so takes, queen takes, and b5.
b5, yeah. You see, if black these are the positions where if black can win the d5 pawn back, you've got to quite like his chances. I guess white needs to disrupt with some a4 or something.
a4 played by Richard. Bishop b7 takes. Okay, and now knight takes here.
Okay.
Knight e4.
Yeah, I guess that white would be nervous about having his structure entirely messed up by some... Oh, knight takes c3 is a threat because the d3 pawn hands. Yeah, I think knight needs knight e4.
And recaptures.
Okay, I was a bit harsh on white's position, although it's still not really my taste. White's not a pawn up.
Not now, no, because...
because d5 dropped, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty difficult to deal with. Okay, takes.
Castle.
Yeah.
Okay, Danny gets the queens off.
Well, I suppose that solves the b5 problem, and...
Yeah, and he's got the bishop pair, so...
Yeah.
He'd be happy with that going into endgame.
No, white needs to show... And I think, annoyingly, that move makes it a lot harder to develop the bishop, because there won't ever be any situations where you can move the bishop and meet bishop takes b2 with rook b1, because a3 is on the board. I think that makes the development a lot harder. So knight c5 makes sense, and now white probably will have to push d4 in order to try and develop the bishop. And, of course, if you push d4, well, at least it feels to me like that gives white... gives black even more sort of hope on the light squares of showing that uncontested bishop has a bit of a good time.
So d4, yeah.
You have to play d4. But yeah, black is, I would have thought, definitely a little better here. Rook b8. So again, he's all the time he's focusing on stopping that bishop from developing.
Yeah. Rook b4. So now...
So I'm thinking that maybe at some point white has to kind of go knight e5 and try to... Is this where we've got to?
No.
I know we're still going... Oh, knight d3. Okay, that makes sense. That's a different knight e5 he's looking for, probably. I know, he's trying to... Yeah.
h4.
Well, it's no surprise to me either that white would have been happy with a repetition or that black didn't want one, really.
Yeah. Knight e5 now.
Okay, yeah, this is the sort of thing I thought white had to try. But now what?
White's played an interesting move, f4 here.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which looks maybe a bit loose with the two. bishops against him.
You don't mean loose, do you? You mean hideous? Slightly ugly looking move, although I can see. So I mean, he's supporting the knight, I guess, and
yeah.
But
King f2, e6.
So was that King f2 the last move?
Mm-hmm.
King f2 was the last move, yeah.
Oh no, it's still got another couple of moves.
No, sorry, that was the most recent move. I just was blinking for a moment.
And bishop b5. So this is where they're up to.
Okay. Okay, so I mean, obviously black's position is more pleasant. What is black's?
Thanks, Scar.
What's black's plan, I wonder?
Yeah, what's black's plan? Well, I suppose still keep that white tied down a bit. The bishop on c1 isn't too active.
You're going for an understatement award there. Okay, but it might. I mean, now if it was white's move, no, I don't think he can even play bishop d2 if it's his move.
No, because you can just do takes on d3 and take on b2.
No, the knight would defend it again, but I think you can go. No, you.
No, oh yeah, I see.
But I think you can go takes on d3 and then bishop g7 or something, and it's just quite hard to defend d4 and b2 at the same time.
Yeah, bishop c3.
So I don't know. Yeah, then I thought maybe some undermining sort of a3 with rook b3.
Yeah.
But I don't know for sure. But that's those sort of ideas. So is black still making it difficult to play bishop d2? I'm just not sure if it's actually black's move. If he goes bishop g7, white goes knight e5 again. I wonder when, if ever, black's intending to take on d3. And if knight takes, then go. I don't know. I'm not sure that helps him very much. Ooh. I like the idea of putting the rook on b3 if I can. So maybe I don't know if we can take a knight on d3, play bishop g7, sort of coax the knight to e5, and then go rook b3 or something. But I didn't really understand. f4 and g3 seems to have created a weakness in a way. I'm not sure the Soviet school would have approved of, but Richard had an idea.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we will see.
So what was our line? We were.
So I said bishop takes d3, knight takes bishop g7, with the idea that if bishop c3, then a3, and you can't take that because of rook b3 winning a piece, I think.
Or just knight.
Oh, sorry, that's on freeze anyway. Sorry.
Yeah.
So more direct undermining than I'd remembered. Yeah, this just feels like progress to me.
Yeah, you'd have to maybe rook a1.
Okay. But rook a1, can I go knight takes c3 and rook b3 or something?
Yeah.
And then if rook c1, I could go a2, or I could play the dinky rook takes c3 with bishop takes d4 check.
Ooh, how exciting.
Tic-tacs.
Check.
Yep. I don't feel like I get any points for that tactic, but it's there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it just feels very unpleasant to defend for white, actually. We can see a result on board 2. Shall we go and have a look?
Yeah, let's have a look.
It'll be interesting to see if my idea is Danny's plan.
Yeah. Now, okay. So we got quite far in this game, didn't we? Did we get to? How far did we get?
No, I think black hadn't quite castled queenside, but we got to the point where white just didn't bother to defend b2 with rook c1, and we were debating.
Yeah, rook c1 and whether.
Yeah, I mean, I suspect that taking on b2 is dangerous where the white goes bishop e3 or bishop whatever. I suspect it's just rather dangerous, but it was worth thinking about, I think.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
instead he just played takes on c4.
Takes.
Yeah,
Castle long.
I think it feels quite scary, that one. Okay.
Knight a4. Queen back.
Yeah, so queen b4 check loses the queen to bishop d2. That's probably just worth mentioning. It's got to be always worth mentioning losing a queen, isn't it?
Here we go.
It's a nice queen trapped in the middle of the board.
Queen has no squares. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So queen drops back.
You sort of feel like white's plan is a few tempi ahead of black's.
Yeah.
I played this h4, h5 line once as black in the last few years against Jonah Willow, and I discovered somewhere just out of the opening that it's sort of quite a lot harder to get right than it feels like it should be. The pure theory is black needs to be quite careful. This looks like a position where black hasn't been quite careful enough. You see what I meant about h4, h5 enabling this pin? The pin is really nasty.
Yeah, you can't get rid of that bishop from
a very good example of how well it works, this one, actually.
Yeah. So rook d1.
And the d pawn, it looks a bit weak, but it's not that weak.
Okay, so white's giving up this d pawn then?
Yes, although I don't know, it's possible that it's just rook takes d4, takes, rook d1 and rook d7 might be.
So this happened, actually.
Oh, it happened. Oh, crikey, yeah. We'll find out.
What you say?
Okay, so I was right. That's good.
You were right. You're quite right.
Sometimes I'm right.
You were quite right.
And you can see why it's pretty scary. Although I suppose can he try knight d5?
He maybe can. He did knight c8. But let's have a look at knight d5.
Yeah, this could be very nasty indeed. So
I suppose the obvious move is
well, either check or takes and check. I'm not quite sure.
Oh, I was just looking at bishop d8 just then as well.
Well, yeah. Although no, I suspect you might want the rook on d8, but bishop d8. Yeah. I mean, if you're being very materialistic, you can probably take on d5 or something and play rook d8 and bishop e7, winning the exchange.
But, yeah.
But I mean, that I'd be actually a bit surprised if that was the best way of doing it for white.
Yeah. Okay. So rook d8.
It's always worth noting what's possible.
I don't know. I mean, it feels like feels like it could be dangerous anyway to me.
I'm sure it's dangerous. I'm just wondering if it's even possible.
So maybe that's, but I don't know whether rook d8 is the first move or not.
I don't know either, but with the you can't take on d5 and then put the queen on the c file because the bishop's covering g2 and the pawn's covering c4. So I wouldn't be that surprised if the materialistic option is a good one.
Okay.
I don't like it though. It feels a bit wrong.
Yeah.
But okay. I mean, I thoroughly believe that white's position here is very dangerous, full of possibilities. Yeah, it's a bit of a cop out, but it's clearly a good position.
Yeah. Okay. He didn't. Anyway, he went knight c8.
Knight c8 looks fairly passive, doesn't it? Although, of course, it does give you an extra piece with defensive.
Yeah.
Oh, bishop d8. Okay. Oh wow. Oh, then but maybe knight c8 is just a blunder. Is bishop c7 check and rook d8 just winning? Is there just no way to coordinate?
That's happened, yeah.
But that might be 1-0 almost.
Yeah. Because how do you defend this knight?
Yeah, that's probably the end of the game. b5 takes. Wait. Oh, queen d2.
Okay.
Oh, that's.
So if king takes rook, What, Queen D8 and Queen B8?
And Queen C8.
And Queen C8, mate. Yep. Gosh, that was a sudden end to things, wasn't it?
Oh, I thought he was going to go Queen D7 there. But this undoubtedly is rather good as well.
Queen D7 now, and Black resigned.
Yes, Queen C8 is pretty unstoppable. Oh dear. Well, that's a sort of a bit of a model game for the variation in some ways. You can sort of imagine that one appearing in a How to Duff Up the Caracan book in a few years. Or, some similarly charming title.
So actually, let's just see what the scores are.
Yep.
So if I put it back on the.
So I will update the score. Oh my word! There's a tremendous fight back by Surrey in the under 1450s.
Oh gosh!
I saw.
Let's see. So Surrey
7-5.
7-5. That was like something like 5-1 before,
wasn't it? 5-1, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah. Okay. And so Yorkshire, Middlesex. Oh, 4.5 all.
Wow, that's exciting.
Under 1850s couldn't be closer. Essex, Surrey also looking close now, 7-5.
Surrey also pulling ahead in the. Yeah, that one was 2.5 all.
On the other hand, Surrey, Warwickshire is looking quite one-sided, 12-2. That's enough, isn't it? That's enough. That's already a win for Surrey. We have our first champions.
Yes.
Essex, Surrey slightly ahead, 5.5, 2.5 in the under 2050s. And then in the minor counties, we have Norfolk 3.5, Devon 6.5. We'll visit that again in a moment. And the open is
looking very tense,
very tense, 2.5.
It's a very, very well sort of balanced match as far as I could see on paper, though. Okay, interesting stuff.
Fine. So
let's see, because there was another game. Was there another game finished just soon after the?
There's another couple of draws. So there's Chris Dunworth, Tim Wall. Can you see that?
Sorry, no, I'm still on the results.
Screen. Is that the right one? Chris Dunworth, Tim Wall. Yes.
Yes, that's it. Yes, Chris Dunworth, Tim Wall was a draw. Okay.
Yep.
Shall we have a quick look? Just see
right. Where did we get to? I'm just going to click on a random place.
Oh, well, this looks like something I said might happen did happen, which was White playing E4 and then Black not going D5 and getting a kind of old Indian.
And actually, it didn't last very long from here.
Well, where I said before that White could do this, I mean, it should be pointed out that Tim Wall is a bit of a devotee of all kinds of not very theoretical, slightly, he's happy to play a slightly worse position with an interesting, with counterplay or an interesting balance game. He's not someone who's going all out for an opening advantage. So he may be happy enough to play this kind of position.
Yeah.
I'd slightly rather be White, but I know from experience they're not that easy to do. I mean, how weak is D6? If you go sort of, if you play some primitive move like Queen D2, how weak is D6? I wonder. There's always some way of showing it's not as simple as all that. Knight B6 might be a good move, actually, just to annoy you by attacking C4 after that. Those kind of things sometimes. I mean, I think if Black has to play Knight C5, then it's always tempting to look at takes at E5. But again, Black might have Bishop F5, and that's it. It's still very complicated. So, yeah. So, what happened now?
They agreed to draw.
Not a lot. Okay. Yeah. Oh, well, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm sure these guys have known each other for a very long time. And
they are, yeah, for sure.
Like I said, they're both White Rose.
Yeah. Okay. And then David Walker against John.
Sorry. Yeah. So this is the one that looked a bit like a reversed French and still looks a bit like a reversed French. So I quite like the amount of progress that White has made here, I think.
Yeah, it looks like good control.
I feel like White's play's gone further than Black's play.
Although, I suppose Black could try and like h4, h3 and try for something.
Yeah, but I mean, if you just go h4, h3, I'll probably just go g3, and then as long as I don't trade my white square bishop and invite you into g2, I think I'm probably fast enough elsewhere. I mean, another plan would be to cut. Well, I mean, obviously, you'd like to try and go sort of h4, bishop h3, and takes g2, but bishop h3 can be met by king h1, so that's not really. The other thing would be to bring some of these horses over, but
Yeah.
I mean, that might be, something with knight f5 feels the most realistic try to me, but I'm trying to remember the position as it was before and trying to wonder what it feels like. White's gained several tempi. Here's an idea: Black could play bishop h3 and then meet. This is going to be a terrible idea, by the way. Okay, so I probably take on c2 first. Then I go bishop h3, and if you go king h1, I take on b5. It's a terrible idea because I'll lose a piece because you'll just go queen somewhere, and I won't be able to defend h3 and b5. But to be fair to me, I did preface it by telling you it was going to be a terrible idea, so that's all right. But it is indeed an atrocious idea. So I was just trying to see if there's any way Black could make sense of these, of the way his pieces are. So takes and knight f5 or something is probably what I would consider, and hope that White can be slowed down on the queen side. But there's a lot to like about White's queenside play. You could kind of go b6, and if Black plays a6, go knight c5 as a plan, or or just knight c5 anyway. There were numerous decent plans for White, I think. Just like White's position now. I wasn't so sure out of the opening, but he seems to have done this pretty well.
Yeah.
Do you see any way to generate fun for Black here?
Well, I think maybe you do kind of. If you want to get your knights over, you're going to need to swap rooks.
Yeah, I think you need to swap rooks, and probably you want to do as many knight moves. You might want to go knight f5 and then knight f6, and try and go knight g4, and then you might actually have some serious.
So here,
sort of, I assume then you have some sort of threats. Although the queen is covering e3, so it's not that obvious.
Yeah,
it's not that obvious why h3 at the end won't put paid to most of that. It feels like Black is a few too tempi to short, but on the other hand, White is not quite.
So then White does this b6 sort of thing.
Well, I don't know. Maybe b6. I don't know whether you should allow Black to exchange that off. Knight c5 is coming, isn't it? So I know knight f6 for Black, something like that. Let's try and bring the pieces over.
Okay.
Bishop c8 and try and grovel on, but yeah, okay. Okay. So I prefer White, but it's not trivially easy to see how he breaks through. I'm not sure b6 is the right way. It feels like might make things a bit harder.
Okay, so those are kind of just our moves. I'm going to delete them so it doesn't.
Yeah, we don't want those
influencing the play.
Okay.
Okay, so then we had.
I wasn't crazy about his position when we left, which was after Queen b3. Move 11, I think.
b3. There we go.
That's the one.
Yes.
And then I was saying Black might take on c3, which he did.
He did.
Oh, b takes. Yeah, I don't like that. If you allow knight a5, I think Black should be quite comfortable.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that's how he could take that bishop. Sorry, I forgot that one. Now it feels like a sort of typical Nimzo Indian thing in that you got this. Yeah, Queen e5 is the move I was concerned about. But okay, White's bishop is probably a good enough piece not to be worse.
Oh, now it does the same on the other side of the board.
Well, yes. He's like me from earlier as a man with only one trick, but it's quite a good trick. Oh, Queen d6, really? I thought Black had played. Yeah, maybe that's a good move. I thought Black had played very. But maybe Queen d6 is the right way. Yeah, because C3 is weak enough that White can't take and sort of try and. Oh, Queen D6 does have the beauty that if White moves the Queen,
Moves the queen, you're getting
one.
rook A1 with a mate. Yeah.
Yeah. I once lost a game to a back rank mate like that in severe time trouble. So I know a Queen E4 might be playable because then you have Rook E1. That might be the way to do it. But it's no great shakes. So what happened? Queen D6 and.
That was it. Draw.
Oh, okay. Presumably there's some reason why Black can't play on a few moves he wants to. Just to. Oh, I suppose we could play some move that brings the king in and Rook A3 could always be met by check on E8 and Rook D6 and just exchange C pawn for D pawn. That should be safe enough. Okay, yeah. Oh, well, not a huge amount happened in that game, but both players seemed. I mean, I didn't hugely like White's opening, but it all seemed fairly sensible after that. Oh, Charlie's story against John Cooper, that looked very difficult for Black and sort of still does. Well, how did he get that knight out of B6?
So where were we? Did we castle long already?
I think we were a move or two before that. Maybe Bishop A3 and Bishop C4, I think had happened, yeah. And Bishop C4, yeah. Okay. Knight D8, that's right. Oh, no, we did have some of this, I think. But okay. Yeah, we were sort of wondering what was going to happen next. G3, okay. That's how you get the knight out of A8.
Oh.
And B6, you have to go knight A8. It's about the only way, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, wait, did White just go knight D2 last move?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, that's true. That's fair. Yeah, that's reasonable. Okay. Feels like White ought to have something more incisive there, but okay.
Yeah. We're still, I mean, like, Black's pieces are now on the back rank, all of them. So, yeah, he's going to have to, what's he going to do? Rook back to B8 and push the B pawn, maybe.
Sorry, can I just take one moment? I think there may have been a knock on the front door, I think.
Okay.
I probably ought to check it because I've got at least one thing being delivered I shouldn't miss. Sorry. Yeah. I'll be back in a sec.
That's fine. Okay. And in the meantime, I'm going to have a little look at the scores. So let's do that. I'm going to just refresh on mine, so it might not be exactly the same as on Peter's, but what we've got, still 4.5 all, Yorkshire, Middlesex. We've got 7-5, Essex, Surrey. And so then the Surrey against Warwickshire.
Sorry, false alarm.
12-2. Okay. Right. And Surrey getting the lead against Essex. We've got Devon.
Almost 2.5 all, wasn't it? And now they've pulled ahead.
Yeah, we might. Wait, let's pop back in. Should we pop back into the minor counties?
Yeah, I wish my pizza had arrived. This is not.
Oh, Peter's pizza's arrived. Okay, so I think let's have a look at the minor counties because we didn't see that for a little while. So if I share. Minor counties. Okay.
Well, this is Devon pulling ahead a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So if we look at this one, so Keith, guess what? He's got a rook and pawn endgame. Oh,
I'm still seeing the results list.
You're not seeing that. Let me just press share then. Is it that one?
That is
not that one. That one it is.
That one. Oh my word.
Yeah.
It looks like he's probably.
And in fact,
there were good rook and pawn endings.
Yeah, in fact, White has actually resigned this position.
Okay, but when I last saw their game when we went for the break, I thought White's position looked quite healthy.
Okay? Do you want to? Should
we zip back and just see quickly what happened? It's interesting.
Yeah. So, where do you want to start from?
I can't really remember where we were.
Somewhere like that.
No, we weren't even here.
No.
Yeah, we were right deep in the opening.
Here?
Yep. Somewhere like here's good.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Takes.
Yep. Takes e6. Okay. So far so good. So yeah, I mean white. Yeah, white could consider g4 instead of king b1 if he wants to. If he doesn't mind taking with his queen on h1, he could play g4. Black probably doesn't want to be taking all the stuff off anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure. I would be looking at g4 there. If h4 is going to slow me down, then I might want to go g4 quickly. But
Yeah.
okay. Oh, this is another way of doing it. I suppose to have h4, h5 break rather than a g4. Rather than opening the h file with hg, hg, you open it with h4, h5. It's possible. Feels more long-winded, but it also, if black's counterplay isn't that quick, you can just do it, whatever.
Yeah, so he's got h5 in now.
Yeah, I mean, some here doesn't look any problems for white, I must say.
F5.
Yeah, I think this is about where. This is where I saw it. I think, and I thought this looks very healthy for white to me. Because the knight on d7 is a bit lacking in good square. I had thought earlier black might try to play knight b8 to c6 or something, but having got here, I thought white was doing just fine. c1, yeah. Yeah, you see, I'm not sure why does white want to block that up? I mean, I could see that the bishop is no great. The bishop's going to be sort of sent on, but the bishop's going to be sent on a circuit which eventually can hit the d4 pawn, something like b4, a5, b6 or something. It gets sent on those squares. Why does white want to close the king side when his initiative is there? For example, if he'd taken and played queen g4, was black dealing easily with that?
So takes here.
Yeah. Queen g4. How easy is this to deal with? Oh, I suppose black can reorganize with knight b6 now. Ah, that's what I'd kind of forgotten. Okay, no, that's sort of not so bad, I suppose.
Because this one.
Well, if it goes to b5, you can hit it with a6, and if it goes anywhere else, you can play queen d7 or something, I suppose. Still, I mean, I'm not convinced that white shouldn't keep this option open because e6 is a bit weak.
Hello, David.
Ah, it's a pleasure, thank you. Okay, so f6. Yeah, I think that white could. I mean, it sort of feels like white's trying to play safe there, whereas I think he could have been a bit more ambitious, perhaps. Sorry, one question. What happens to queen b5? Sorry, queen b3 in this position?
Queen b3 here.
Yeah.
Okay, so the bishop's only safe square. Oh no, there's a5 or d.
I think it might need d2. My idea was to meet bishop a5 with queen b5, and I don't think that knight can go anywhere.
Okay, so bishop
After
here.
bishop a5, white has queen b5, and the only square the knight has blocks the defense of the bishop, which is kind of a nice little tactical thing.
Yep.
So it has to go to c2, but of course c2 is a better. Well, c2 might have some prospects anyway. I suppose when you see this, you can sort of see why f6.
This was quite nice for white, doesn't it?
I thought white was doing well. I mean, once the bishop, if you go rook c2, bishop back, then you've got moves like queen b4, maybe trying to infiltrate on d6.
Yeah.
David's
asking, how does it feel like to be a world champion? It is most excellent to be a world champion. I like it. I like it a lot. And it was very nice at Aquiterme, like you were saying, hi world champion, because there were so many English world champions, which is a lovely thing to have.
Yeah, I think this world champion was in a spot of difficulty just now here, if White had done this. But
yes, he was.
Okay, so how did he escape?
So this is what we had: bishop b4, knight f4.
Ooh. I don't like that because it allows pieces to be exchanged, which must be not what it should be doing, I think. Yep.
Bishop d2. Okay, and now they come off. Right.
Okay, it's still a long way to go for black to be better, I think, but it's the immediate danger's been navigated, I think, or white missed his moment, I think.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Takes rook g7, threatens knight e6.
Oh, rook g7 here. Okay.
No, but I think that doesn't probably black's taking on f4 anyway. I mean, queen takes d4 could still be met by knight e6. I think that would work fine. But bishop takes f4 will be okay. So it's white's move now.
Yeah.
Is there any mileage at all in playing something like d5, or are we going to run? We might run into queen b6, and it's Kenworthy 39, not Gary again. Hello,
Kenworthy 39.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm not so convinced by what white's done anymore.
Yes.
A shame.
Yeah. So there was that sort of moment for a few moves where black's pieces were a bit awkward.
Pieces were very badly coordinated. I mean, I think f6 wouldn't necessarily be my choice, but there were decent. Oh, look at that! Now there's pure flattery going on the chat.
You see, I'm taking the attitude that I'm proud of being a senior. That's how I'm going to look at it all, and I think it's very great.
You can simultaneously be proud of being a senior and pleased to be called
and enjoy. Yes, thank you, Waterford Wizard. I like that a lot too. Yes. But it was fun. You know, it does make you feel young when you're like the youngest one of the seniors. It's quite nice.
There's so much paradox in that.
Try it. It's funny. Yeah.
Maybe I should.
Yeah.
Okay. So right. Yeah. Okay. So we should go back to where we. Yeah. No. Somewhere around there, queen b3, I think, was quite awkward. Yeah, now white's gone. If 92 white's gone passive, then it's okay. I'm sure that his position's still.
Thank you, Kenworthy.
Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, I don't want to keep. But d5, you have to try there, surely, just as a kind of.
Here, sorry.
Instead, here, you've got to try d5. Having not managed to generate play in various moments before, you've got to try this, I think. Because, you know, black doesn't take, you have d6. Black does take. You don't have d6. You get rook takes d5 and there's some activity. I mean, queen b7 might be awkward, but not very.
Queen b7.
No, queen b7 is not especially. We'll just go move our queen as well. Not sure where, but somewhere. I'd quite like not to lose my pawn if possible. But don't you think white's got to create some squares for that knight? I mean, the knight gets exchanged and then the major piece ending is bad, but you've got to try and... You know, if we can play d6, then we have some... We're holding black back in some way, aren't we?
Yeah.
I don't know. Something like this. I think white kind of was doing very well and then lost the thread a bit.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, Keith's an hour up on the clock.
It's also possible that it was high time trouble around here.
Yeah. So here.
Now rook d8 and black's pretty solid again.
Even like when you get into this rook and pawn ending, it doesn't look terrible for white, does it?
Well, I mean, it's still a major piece ending, and for that reason, I think the white's king position feels a bit more ropey than black's somehow.
Okay, yeah.
There's one thing, I don't know, queen b6 and all the fun pawn breaks are going to be black's rather than white. Oh, now you just went for the rook and pawning. Okay, yeah, it doesn't look Doesn't look over by any means, but maybe it is because you can't prevent the march of the king. Oh, wait a minute. Whoa, I don't like rook g8 very much. Is there something we can try here? Like,
Oh, what? Just drop the rook back to stop the king coming in.
I was hoping to be more active, but maybe I'll end up doing that. Yeah, I'm not sure. Perhaps. But then black's got the initiative anyway.
Yeah.
But no, what if we had taken now and... Oh, no, then the whole pawn chain is dropping. Okay, that's that really is the whole pawn chain. Okay, so he's going for... Oops. King d3,
yeah.
Maybe he missed king d3. So if he holds up king d3, let's say he goes king c2 now. That feels like a fairly more critical
The
try.
king c2 here, right?
Just keep that king out because, if b takes c3 happens and then something takes on d4, that's a manageable level of damage. We take on a7 and why would we be in any trouble? No, this should, or even f7. This is fine for white, yeah? Actually take on f7. Oh, even king e5.
Take on here.
Okay, rook f7. Maybe this is shaky, but it's not obviously lost. Okay, a4.
a4.
Who is better and why, as they used to say.
Yeah.
So I think it's allowing the king to d3, which turns a difficult position into a lost one. But maybe after king c2, did black have rook to the g file or h file or something? Could black drive the king out?
So here.
Yeah. No, black can probably play rook somewhere on the king side to g2 or h2, and then it's still the king's still invading, the pawn's still very dangerous.
Yeah.
Just check though. Yeah, I prefer h because I don't want rook g7 to come with a tempo, so h is better. So check. Oh, it's true. Yeah, we've got c takes b4 now, haven't we? So
c4, yeah.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world either. Okay, king d4.
King d4.
But rook d7 check.
Check.
Takes and rook takes f7 or something. I don't know. Doesn't. I mean. Well, what we know for sure is that this is a lot better for white than what happened. I think just trying to keep that king out of d3 made a huge difference. Because once the king got to d3, the c pawn's ridiculously fast. Yeah, it's like it's a bullet after that. Whereas this is not clear at all. Okay, that's.
This was a good game then, wasn't it? Between Martin and Keith.
Well, I mean, it sort of feels a bit like the player who had. Not sure that the player who was better for much of the game won, so it might be, a bit of a. But okay, no, I mean it was interesting. Yeah, I think most of the games have been pretty good. I haven't seen many games decided by kind of terrible blunders and things.
So Jack against Clive, where did we see this up to?
Oh, we were talking quite general terms about Benoni's and things. So knight f3, he'd just taken back on. And I forgot that this is already a b5 position. That was a bit careless of me. That's why I didn't like the bishop on e3. I knew something wasn't right. This is already perhaps a b5 position. So he took on d5, and I said e takes was normal.
Yes.
E takes, and now b5. Okay. So the idea here is that if bishop takes, then knight takes e4 and queen a5 check, I guess. This is usually the idea.
Yeah.
Oh, but wait, I would have. Oh, that's very. I wouldn't. Okay, it's possible, but queen d2 instead of knight c3.
Okay, so just queen d2.
No, but then queen takes. No, there's no bishop h6 because of rook e8. That's the knight is going to be very embarrassed. It's difficult for white to castle, actually. That's the essential problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so knight c3 does make sense. Oh, yeah, okay.
F5 and g3.
Okay, I was just going to say I would go queen b3 there, but he did.
Jack's done it.
No, not Jack, his opponent. Oh, sorry, it was Jack. Sorry, it's Jack, isn't it?
White, yeah.
Okay. King d2. That's a nice little switch around because the knight will be good on h4, I think. Probably.
Knight h4, yeah.
I don't know if black had to take on g3. Maybe yeah, it's very difficult to make any progress otherwise, I suppose. Or sorry, not progress, just difficult to make any moves.
So white's got this extra pawn.
I think white might be teeing up to sack a piece for all the rest of the pawns.
Yeah, on c5.
Yeah. Ah, that's a nice one. So he was threatening to sack the exchange for sure, I would say. It's a nice way of doing it if it really makes progress. What does he play now? Yeah.
Okay.
The black might have become a bit impatient going rook h7, but it's difficult to offer any positive advice. He just had to sit there and defend the things, I think, which isn't much fun. And now a7's dropping as well. Yeah.
There it goes. Yeah.
Easier with rooks on the board, I think, so he's keeping them on. Oh, and now the knight. Oh, knight's going to be. Oh, and now he wins the knight because he swaps rooks and takes g7.
This is, yeah.
That's the end.
That's the end.
I think he played rather well, Jack. He's sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, we went. It's difficult to tell at that speed, although that's perhaps the speed he played it at. But it had a smooth flow to it, didn't it?
Mm.
You kind of felt like black's counterplay was constantly being squeezed, and then white was infiltrating. Yeah, pretty nicely. And imagine if you're black in that game and fairly unpleasant things are happening at great speed.
Yeah.
The practical joys of playing Jack can be really tough, I think.
Okay, so this is the only game in this match where we've got moves and it's still in progress.
The only one, yes. So this is Ken McEwen, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, white seems to have a threat of taking on h7, which I imagine black may choose to deal with.
Point.
Given that there's queen a7, can we just check whether there's been some repetition of moves in the last few moves? Queen a8, rook c8, queen a7. We're not about to have a draw by repetition or anything, are we? I don't think so. Queen a8.
Think so. Like if we go back to sort of 10 moves ago.
Yes. Okay, so far.
But now, yeah, so...
Okay. But it is possible because rook 5 c7 loses the e-pawn, which is black's major asset.
Okay, so he's now repeated, so
yeah,
it's certainly possible.
Oh, but it's also possible that it depends how dangerous these black pawns are, but if they were super dangerous, black could meet queen f8 or queen b8 with queen f8.
Oh, look, so this move stops so
now I see, that's clever. Well, clever if he's trying to win. Queen f8.
Yeah, queen f8. Thanks for the follow, Mick Rating.
Maybe the e-pawn's going to drop actually because takes rook e1.
Yeah, okay, let's see it. So
this may be about to happen in real time.
e1.
They're through time trouble now, aren't they?
I don't know when they get extra because they already had 2 1/4, didn't they?
That's like they've already had enough. Maybe they don't get extra. Maybe it's.
Yeah, I think the crowd will know. So here.
Yeah, and then rook d3, and I think.
Yep.
But okay, so I guess that is inconvenient for black.
So that's going to be 2 pawns once that's gone. So that's like winning, isn't it?
Well, I mean, he can probably play e2 and after rook d2 go rook c3 and make it 1 pawn. But I think it's 1 pawn with, black's kingside pawns are quite well held by whites. And let's say that we don't look at taking on d5. We'll just say we just get rid of the e-pawn and change some rooks. Well, maybe the other rook to make sure that black changes the rooks. I don't know. Let's just take on e2. I'm sure white can... Well, not sure, but I think white can force that position. So takes, take, and then to rook g3, I think. I suspect there's various ways white can make progress here. One might be to threaten the d-pawn. And black probably has to reply by threatening the f-pawn. And I wonder if we just take the d-pawn, rook takes f4, and then get on with a4. That's quite quick, that pawn, isn't it? The problem is that the g-pawn still holds black's kingside pawns pretty nicely. So I don't see black getting anywhere very fast here. The rook on d5 is kind of perfectly placed for holding back black attacking. Well, it's perfectly placed to defend g5, and the g-pawn's perfectly placed to hold up the h-pawn, and white's two queenside pawns are fast, and his king can join them if need be. I suspect this might be very bad news for black.
Yep.
Which, let me just see, in terms of the match, puts... Well, I mean, Devon are now 8-5 ahead, so this would pull 1 point back. But
yeah, so this is where they're at. I'm thinking.
Well, he just went queen f8, didn't he? I think.
Did he? I don't know.
Did he not? Oh, was that us? I thought that.
I don't know. I'm gonna.
Shall we delete our line and see what happens?
Delete our line and see
where reality is at.
I see where it is at reality. Yeah. Okay. If I go off it and go back on.
It seems like we are down my line.
I think this is them actually playing, not just us. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it is, isn't it? Because rook c3 sort of just happened.
Yeah. No extra time, David's confirmed.
No extra time.
Yeah. Blue Grey Haze, there are not just 6 boards. We're just looking at the top 6 boards, and this match is, let's see.
This match is currently 8-5 to Devon.
Yeah, so how many boards is it in total? It's 16 boards. Okay, so 8-5 to Devon, which does mean
they need another half.
They only need half a point to win the match.
If it's 8-all, is it decided by some ghastly board count or something? Or is it
going to be some tiebreak, isn't it? Yeah,
I guess so. Probably board count.
Yeah.
So, but actually, it looks like Norfolk have done rather better on the higher boards. They may even be ahead in a tiebreak. But one sort of assumes that half a point will be.
Well, Devon's won boards 1 and 2.
Yeah, no, Devon's won board 1, but not board. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. I'm getting completely confused by the colours thing. Okay. No, Devon is doing well on the high boards then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking nonsense. That happens occasionally. But on the subject of not talking nonsense, they're going right down my line, I think. Unless
king
f7. That's more of a try, I guess. So if rook d2, then king e6. But what if rook e5?
Yeah.
I would have thought rook e5 is still not much joy for black, probably. I mean, yeah, this is slightly tougher than the line I gave, but I think that the winning rook ending thing was basically right.
Looks good, doesn't it?
It does look good.
You
yeah.
can he's got his b-pawn going.
That's the spirit.
So rook c4.
I guess just a3.
a3.
Oops. b5. So how far does that pawn get?
Maybe you should bring the king up anyway.
Well, if we go b5, rook c3, b6, how isn't that pawn going quite a long way?
Okay.
I mean, he might just have to go
You go rook c. Oh no, rook
C8.
c6. You go but rook b2.
Read
Don't you?
rook b2, yeah.
Yeah.
Or even b7 and then rook b2.
Oh yeah.
So he's got to go rook c8, I think, in which case, aren't we in time to go b7, rook b2, and then defend the thing?
Yeah. Here, and then push the a pawn.
And if black pushes the d pawn, we've got our king there to stop it so it doesn't distract the rook. So we can just go a4 anyway.
Yeah.
And then, well, a5 and king c. Well, king c1 if we want to be safe, but a5 is good too.
Okay, Devon have won on board count at worst.
Okay, yeah. Okay. I think, yes.
Okay. And which player is Devon? Devon would be black in this particular game.
Devon is black in this game. Yeah, that's right. So
yeah,
this will pull one back for Norfolk, yes. I think. But there are still two more out there that we don't know what's happening.
Okay, fine. So
we haven't seen the. Oh, wait a minute. No, what haven't we seen for a while? Nothing. We've seen everything.
We could go back. We didn't see the lower boards yet of the Open.
Ah, yeah, that's true.
Which I think we should maybe see. So I'm going to just.
Shall I have a quick look at the oh, no.
Yeah, do you want to see the results while I'm
just up to? Oh, it's.
That's while I'm just changing. There you go.
Okay, there we go. So, okay, there's still several matches not yet clear, above all the final, which is only at 2.5 all, so there's a long way to go there. Let's just have a quick look, see where the 2.5 all is. So there's the Eggleston Ledger game, which we saw, and the Tim Wall against Chris Dunworth and Mooney Townsend. We saw those ones, and otherwise Yorkshire have won on bottom board, and there's been the draw with Alan Walton, which we also saw. We've covered a lot of ground here. This is looking fascinatingly poised. Of course, we did think that Yorkshire are probably a bit worse on boards 1 and 4, I think, from the ones we've looked at. And of course, they were struggling a bit on board 6 as well. So,
right. This one is so we already looked at Charlie's story against John Cooper. So let's go to the next one. Peter
that was, wait a minute, it changed quite a lot. Can we just see that? I mean, it looks like Black's kind of escaped. Is Black out here? Oh. Certainly a different looking game from the one we saw earlier. For a start, Black no longer has any pieces apart from the rook on the back rank, which is quite a lot of progress.
True. That's true.
It's quite a lot of progress. I mean, now actually, if anyone is for preference, it might even be Black.
Yeah, because if Bishop takes f5, where are we going to put this king?
Probably
not on c3 anyway.
Oh, probably not. You'd need to be quite upset with the turn of events to put it on c3, I think.
So king c1 probably.
Yeah, unless you were able to calculate that, d1 wasn't actually going to lead to any terrible trouble. Now I get the feeling White might evict that bishop with g4 if he got a moment to. Perhaps.
Oh, yeah.
So h5 might be worth considering to sort of keep some control. Or again, if you're willing to do the calculation, king f6 might be a decent move to meet g4 with sort of king e5 or something. It looks a bit riskier, though. Although it might be just fine. That would be a braver solution, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, there's king f6, there's knight e4 check. What am I on about? That's not good. Okay, so king f6 is suitably silly. So h5 might be an attempt to cement the bishop. It's an extraordinary turn of events, anyway. John Cooper's done a good job defending this one. Okay. Quick look at board 1, maybe? Just see if Danny's increased the pressure in the way we thought he might.
Yes.
Oh, it looks like he's done very much the sort of thing I was thinking.
Yes.
changing that bishop off and heading for So Richard managed to avoid being immediately undermined. How did that bit go? Can we go back to about knight take? Yeah, he took on d3, move 30 for black, I think. That's what we said. Oh gosh, it's black to play in that position. I hadn't realised. So yeah, we said take, and then we were thinking about rook bishop g7. That was it. Yeah.
Yes.
So this much we had right, and now he must have gone bishop e3 because bishop c3, that undermining with a3 was a real problem. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Or actually, maybe we didn't even need that. He also has takes and rook b3 anyway with that trick. Oh no, he doesn't. No. A3 must be a good move. So this looks really unpleasant for white. This is exactly the sort of progress I was worried for Richard that Danny was going to be able to make. Knight e7. Okay, so that forces the rook back slightly, but sometimes you just have to make little concessions in order to bring your pieces where you want them. Maybe that.
Yeah, because he's going to get his knight in.
Yeah.
F5 now, Danny.
Yeah. No, that was why I was, thinking that f4 and g3 wasn't necessarily what white wanted to do, but I'm sure he had a good reason. I was a bit unsure at that stage of the game. Okay, so at some point, the knight is white's best piece, so you make progress by taking it off, and then rook b3.
Yes, attacking this pawn on g3.
Yeah, and there's no way to defend it. So Richard's trying desperately to get active. So I guess the idea is to try and play bishop e7 and have some pretty serious counterplay with rook c8 check.
Yeah.
But something tells me there will be a way to deal with that.
Yeah, so what? So knight f5?
Say so what? Well, putting the knight on e4 might be one way because that relieves the issue of bishop f6 being so scary. But I don't know. It's not the full story. Yeah, knight e4 feels. Okay, there's also. I mean, knight f5 is also possible because it does stop the bishop going to e7 as well.
Yeah. And attacks that pawn on h4.
Well, I suspect it doesn't really because you really do have to avoid rook c8 check and bishop f6.
Yeah.
I think you need the knight defending bishop e7.
Yeah, so he's done it.
Yeah. Possible the rook might even have time to come around and take that h pawn if the knight really keeps white out. And the other thing, I guess. Oh no, that doesn't really. I mean, I don't think black's particularly going to liquidate into a rook ending, but knight e3 check stops the bishop from going anywhere particularly interesting, doesn't it?
Right, just excuse me for 1 minute.
No, sure. So I think I can't see any real way that Richard's going to generate counterplay here, but I think this is as far as we've got up to, I think. Natasha's been doing all the hard work making the moves. I'm not entirely sure how This is her screen that's being shared. I'm not sure what I can do with it. Anyway, that one's looking... King c1. He's played a move. So King c1... I suspect he's looking to try and play rook c4 and attack the a pawn and try and get some counterplay that way. Yeah, that's a sensible idea. That's the way to try and do it. So I would expect to see rook c4 next by white, and black needs to find some move that takes that idea into account. Okay, let's... Yeah, he's played king c1. He's kind of intending to go rook c4, I think. I'd forgotten he could defend. I was thinking it was a problem to defend the b pawn with bishop a3 because of knight e3 check, but of course king c1 does it just as well. So this is his best chance. He's got to try and go rook c4, and if he can take the a pawn, there may be some hope. But
Yeah.
But it still looks grim. But for the moment, I think black can't take on h4 because of this bishop e7, rook c8, and bishop f6 idea. At least that makes black go very passive to defend it.
Yeah.
So it looks grim for Richard, but still very, he's still defending as best he
Hanging on
can.
in there.
Well, sort of, yeah. Board 4, maybe?
Let's have a look. Okay, David Walker against...
Oh, yeah, this is the one where I liked... Black's made some... He's made some mess, at least, on the king side. It's sort of not look like... Well, it looked like sort of white smoothly advancing on the queen side and the danger of not a lot happening on the other side. But actually, e3 is quite weak now, so... Black always has some, even if it's not counterplay where you can say, I can play this, this, and this and cause trouble, you're at least tying down some of White's pieces to defending these. No, it looks to me like Black's made progress since we last saw it. Can we see very quickly what happened? Because it looked like it was smoothly moving on in there. A5 or something we had, didn't we? I think move 21, A5, something like that. Oh, no. Yeah, something like that.
Like this. Queen G5.
Oh, yeah, a few moves on, actually. F1, and knight A4.
Knight A4.
Takes the rook.
Takes an H4. We were talking about these moves, yeah.
We were.
And I think you were saying, well,
I thought White might kind of ignore that.
There, you just go G3 and it's not much.
Well, probably not much, yeah.
So knight C5 here.
Oh, A6. Yeah, that was one way of doing it, but I wasn't sure it was the most effective. Okay, let's see. He took. Okay.
Takes. Bishop H3.
Oh, with my cheap threat of takes and H3, so king H1.
No, F4.
Oh, wow. So why not king H1?
King H1.
Interesting. Not sure.
Do you think you get another pawn going?
F5.
Yeah. Oops. I didn't mean to do that.
Not F6.
No, that wasn't what I was trying to do.
Well, I guess more to the point, I guess he might try to play rook F6 to G6, but I think F4 then is just going to solve the problem, isn't it?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really understand why he wanted to go F4. It seems to me Black's counterplay didn't force that.
Bishop moves knight C7, says Kenworthy 39, not Gary Kenworthy.
Well, yeah, that's the sort of thing I had in mind. But I was assuming that, but I was trying to figure out why White didn't do this, and I think knight C7 is part of the reason why White probably should have done. Yes. Okay. I mean, I don't see immediately. This obviously creates a sort of positional... This is a positional concession, so Black will always have some counterplay now, which I think is pretty much what happened, yeah?
Yeah.
That's an odd maneuver. And Bishop.
Yeah, Kenworthy 39, Grandmaster level.
Exactly.
Okay, and this is where they are.
Yeah. Okay, I think Black should be pleased with the last few moves, even if White still has, ideas. Just the fact that White isn't free to go and assault the queen side without having some weakness to cover gives me more optimism for Black. And, both knights are headed for that e4. Both knights can cover that e4 square easily enough. So
how's this match?
Anything could happen now, actually.
Yeah. What's the score in this match right now?
Well, it was... When we last saw it, it was 2.5 all. But, Jim Burnett has won for Yorkshire. And Pete Gayson has won for Yorkshire. So Yorkshire has just pulled significantly ahead, actually.
So this is Northumberland, Yorkshire.
Yeah, but this may compensate for...
Well, okay, 4.5, 2.5 to Yorkshire.
I thought we were likely to see wins for Northumberland on boards 1 and 4. But 4 is looking more doubtful now. And 6 is looking a lot more doubtful. So I think Yorkshire have pulled things around on one or two quite important boards.
Mm.
Who knows?
Okay.
Yeah, so looking more promising for Yorkshire certainly than it was 20 minutes ago, I think. Okay.
Let's have a look then. Let's see Zhang Zheng.
Yeah.
And this one was our Grand Prix attack, wasn't it?
Oh, wow. Yeah, it was.
Do you remember that? And we quite liked Black at the time.
Black was doing okay, and well, it looks like. Well, it's all.
Daniel Gormley playing for Northumberland. Yes.
Yes, he is. It's much more. Well, it is where he lives, to be fair.
Makes sense.
It does make sense. Yeah, this looks like Black. I don't know what it looks like actually.
Well, now White's got the exchange, and Black has a pawn for it.
Yes.
White. Well, both kings are a little bit open, aren't they?
Yeah, I think the main worry for Black is probably that e pawn, which is potentially a bit of a dude, as they say in the textbooks. Yes. I don't think this has gone as well for Black as we thought it might. Can we go just see a few moves back? What?
Yeah, where do you want to see it? Here?
So it's Black in this game who is Yorkshire, isn't it? That's right. Oh, well, no, none of this was like on the agenda when we left it. Can we go back even a few more moves? We had kind of, around about here, we thought that Black had. Oh, White managed to get a playable c3 in. That might help a bit.
Yeah.
So Black took, I guess. Yep. Knight d5. d4.
Yeah, because White did this interesting thing of putting the king on f2, and we were thinking of
h1.
h1.
Yeah, so
came back.
Oh, that looks a bit pardon. If he has to start defending like that, then White's done a good job of reorganising. Can I go back a move? Just for a sec here. White's last move was knight. Oh, sorry, what was the last move before? Knight g3? c4, okay. Yeah, you see, I'm not entirely sure Black should be blocking this position up so much. Maybe he should.
Okay, like what, just swap?
I don't know, actually. Maybe things have already gone a bit down. Yeah, this sort of suddenly feels a lot healthier for White, doesn't it? I mean, there's still h5 to h4 to contend with, I suppose, but...
Yeah, h5, h4 happens.
That's a nice trick. That's an exchange-winning trick. So if Black had seen that and gone queen e6 here, how would that have been? Probably a good deal more promising, actually.
So it was a bit of a tactic there.
It was quite a sneaky little tactic, but it's I mean, if you play queen e6 now, I'm not sure that White's doing well because h4 is going to come, and the knight's going to have to go passive, and I suspect Black's rook on h3. Yeah, it's one of those rooks which is either going to get trapped or lost, or it's going to be a pretty fearsome piece. And with White doesn't have time to do something like rook d1, h4, d5 because there's queen b6 check. So I think this is a pretty significant moment. Well, as you imagine it might be, because I guess that sort of qualifies as a tactical blunder, doesn't it? h4.
Yeah. Okay.
But
even with it in,
it's still.
It's not completely clear, right?
No, indeed. Well, no, it's not. Partly because of that. Oh, that's a nice move. Queen d7. I wonder if he thought queen d7. You could sort of think.
So queen d7, and the idea is if queen takes h3, you're going rook g5.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's. But yeah, there's no reason for. Oh, I see. No, there's more to it than I thought. Yeah, he's still. It's not winning his. I mean, it's almost like Black could have gone for this, not realizing that he's sufficiently tangled that it represents full compensation, I guess. Which I suppose it does, but who knows? It's still quite hard to judge.
So now,
what
is going on here? Because like couldn't black just retreat a rook now? And
to where we can't go rook f7 because of e6. And I guess that in general, e6 is a threat because e6, queen e5, e7. And those pawns are just pretty fast.
What about queen e6 then?
Then I guess rook g2.
Rook g2 and
kind of can't defend g7.
Yeah. Oh, so he's probably right. Just keep taking things.
I think he may be doing what a man has to do. Yeah.
Yeah, and takes check.
And getting so the position has arisen quite logically from there.
Right, and as you say, the e pawn is worry.
Oh, king g2. Was that part of the game plan?
Gosh.
Wait a sec, sorry, can I just... Oh, this is all happening, okay.
Yeah.
It's very much all happening.
Indeed. This is now live.
Okay. we can come back now in the position which is most confusing of all. We can come and figure what's going on.
Yeah.
I haven't got a huge clue what's going on here, really.
Yeah. So you could check on.
Yeah, but I think white can probably go queen g2. It's probably organized because that e pawn is enough of a asset that you can play without.
All right. Try and queen the c pawn then.
Okay. What, c3?
c3.
Okay, and if I go e6, learning from my opponent. Yeah, the worry is that the pawn with the two rooks behind it is going to be a bit more scary than the one without.
Yeah.
Sorry, that sounded...
So, wait a minute. So, okay, rook there.
Okay. Methinks you're trying to find a devious check.
Yeah.
If I go... Queen f3?
Queen f3. I want to go h3, but that would check anyway.
Yes.
So I can't really do that.
Well, most annoying of all, if you go rook f4 or something, queen h5 check, I'm going to be able to play e7. That's because the queen covers d5 from there. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think probably white's doing well here.
Yeah.
That happened because there was a clear tactical blunder, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this is... I find it hard to know what the live position is once I've started putting moves on there. I think this is it, though.
There's an interesting question here about whether teams can recruit players from neighbouring counties. Is David Walker and Danny, are they got County Durham? Maybe they are. I don't know. Interesting.
Well, there'll be rules about how you can... Because I used to play... You can play, like certainly when I was away at uni, I played for the uni team, so you can...
Yeah, that seems... I'm sure that's a bit of an exception to... I don't know whether you can... Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose you'd need a connection to the county in order to...
You would think.
Yeah.
Queen e6. So around about here, I think I was assuming that switching to the g file, sort of rook g1 or something, was pretty awkward.
David Walker Durham says pass pawn.
Yeah, I don't know. Rook g1 now? Just trying to... Oh, the bishop could go to h6 and there aren't actually any... Oh, there's queen b7 check? I don't know. You can see I'm starting to get tired and losing the plot now, but I think that just wins, actually. Rook g1 looks like a strong move to me. It just looks like you must be able to switch to the g file here. I mean, queen g5 might be a decent move too, but rook g1 just looks very natural.
David Mooney was Sunderland, but now North Shields. Golly, I couldn't even tell you what county North Shields is.
I would have thought it might have been where Sunderland was, but obviously
Well, which
not.
county is Sunderland then?
No, Sunderland probably is Northumberland. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. Shall we see if there's an update on the scores?
Yeah.
Nope. All as it was. Okay,
Yeah.
shall we just take a quick look at the next couple of boards down? And
then... let's see. So let's see Matthew Forster against Phil Watson.
Yes.
We can just look at the positions, I think, because
absolutely. Time.
Yeah. So look at this one with these pawn chains across the centre of the board.
Yeah, it looks like a sort of reversed King's Indian, and both
Yeah.
players have kind of done their thing, but black looks slightly more tied down than white. But is there a plan to convert or to press forward?
It doesn't. It's not obvious how to get through on that G file, is it?
It's really not obvious. No.
So scores in this open at the moment. Northumberland, Yorkshire, still 4.5, 2.5 to Yorkshire.
Yes.
So North Shields is County Durham. Sunderland is Wearside, aka Tyne and Wear.
Simples. Yes.
Yeah. Oh no, North Shields says Tyne and Wear, but gets subsumed into Northumberland for chess purposes. The plot thickens.
The plot does thicken. Yes.
Right. Sorry, what are you actually seeing on your screen? Are you still seeing Matthew?
I'm seeing this position and not really having any obvious ideas how to make progress, but a sort of suspicion that there should be something.
So Black's just played A5, actually.
Yeah. Well, that's probably a sign that he doesn't think he's about to be mated on the other side.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I'm just
sit and wait developments then.
Yep. I'm just going to say I don't know this one. I mean,
Right.
sort of feeling
okay. Well, let's see this next one because I was just going to switch to it. Paul Dargan, who's one of our regular viewers, B22 C3 Sicilian.
Oh, so that's a win for Northumberland. So the plot is thickening in all senses.
He has just won his game. So let's just see the final position there. Oh, double rook and pawn ending.
Yes. Rook's coming to usher the pawn home by the look of it.
Yeah, look at that pawn there.
So was this the flow of the play, or has there just been a mistake? Can we go back 3 or 4 moves and just see?
Yeah, let's see H4 coming in. Here we go.
Yeah, this looks like something white probably shouldn't lose. But maybe no. If E5 is coming with force, then maybe white does lose. Ooh, so wait, E5's coming. It's all coming with great force now. He's just But did black? Yeah, maybe that was going to come anyway. But rook B8 certainly feels like it released it a bit early. That's a nice idea. Just E3.
E3 now, yeah. Okay, so you can't take that, I guess, because you'd put your rook around the other side and
that gets a choice of mates in that position.
Yeah.
And this is game over.
Well done, Paul.
Gosh, okay.
Okay. There's one here that's still going, which is Christopher Back against William Robbins.
Can I just see that final position a moment?
Paul Dargan's? Yeah.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. No, I was having a hallucination.
E1 Queen.
Yeah, no. I could see that things weren't looking good. I just had some crazy idea, but it was really based on a hallucination. So I'm getting tired. No, I think in my head, I thought G4 H takes had already happened, and then H5 check. Rook takes. No, none of it's even real. I had some idea to go rook takes F5 and then rook E6 using the pin. Rook Fe5 using the pin, but it's all nonsense anyway. So.
Okay, Christopher Back against William Robinson.
Okay, this looks very good for
Exchange
white.
up for white.
Yeah, and no reason not to. I mean, the opposite colour bishops and mating attack probably. And bishop c3 and rook e7 is a threat. Okay, so the knight has to do something like that. But rook e7 now, I guess.
Yeah, and the king can just drop back.
Well, if knight h5 check, I'm going to drop forward, I think.
Oh.
Go to e5 probably. Because, you know, then if the bishop goes to c6, I have rook e6 check takes f6, h6. Oh, okay.
King's gone forward anyway.
That's another way, I'm sure, but I did quite like rook e7 unless there was a good reason not to. Okay. No, this just looks very, very good for white. I don't see any.
Yeah.
White has compensation as well.
Okay. Let's pop back to board 1 then.
Yes.
Richard Palliser, Danny Gormally.
Oh, it looks like Danny's played a breakthrough with the. Yeah, I saw these lines where knight g7 is the only thing that stops mate, but I didn't have a version where black's pawn was on g3. I thought otherwise it might be a bit passive, but this one looks like a very good version for black.
So Danny's just going to do the plan G2, G1.
Well, I think Richard's about to resign, probably.
Okay.
I mean, I think rook f8, g2, rook takes f7 is one tempo short to cause any trouble. Queen, I think that's probably. Because if the king had to defend the f pawn, then there's rook g8.
Yeah.
But we're just in time to stop rook takes g7. I mean, if black was queening on a different file, you can probably just go allow rook takes g7 and king h6 wins. But since the queen is defending g7, that really is very simple. Yeah. Okay, so that looks like Danny Gormally is going to convert this.
Yeah.
And quite a nice game by him, I would say. Although I did feel Richard's opening backfired a bit. And yep. Okay, that's
okay. Now let's see the minor counties again, shall we?
Yeah, could I take a 10-minute break or 5-minute break or something? Actually, because
yes.
I need to move my leg. It does.
Yeah.
We've had quite a long.
Go off air for a minute. Yeah. Okay. We'll be back very, very shortly. I'm just going to take us off the stream. Oops. Hiya.
Hi.
Okay, let me just pick which game we're on. Okay, we have David Walker against Jonathan Nelson.
Uh-huh.
So this is board 4 of the open match. And
yeah, this is the one where I thought that White would be, I had thought White was doing really well, and then I thought he might struggle to make progress without giving away his E3, without, having to defend the E3 pawn. And now, well, Black's certainly focusing his counterplay on the E3 pawn, but Queen A3 might work for him. Because now if E3 is kind of immune now because of the fork on E7, I think.
Okay.
Unless Black has some super duper powerful attacking stuff. King H7. Okay, that's okay. So now, again, yeah, that makes sense. White now has to find a way to defend E3 in a more sort of enduring fashion. Yeah, this is the kind. I mean, even if White is doing well, this is the kind of counterplay I was thinking before that he ought to try and avoid. Rook F2. Okay, so what's his idea? If Knight takes
now
E3,
Knight E3, yeah.
He wants to,
because he can't really take on F7 because then you just G2s.
Yeah, G2 would be in trouble. So Knight E3, right? We're about to find out.
Yes.
Wow, this must be a very tense thing to play, I would have thought. My sympathies with the players at this moment. This is a very tense position to have, especially if people are a little bit short of time.
Yeah, I'm just going to look in the background about what the score is as well, because...
I mean, sorry, just worth noting, Black isn't threatening to take on G2 here, but is threatening to take on E1, I think. Sorry, F1, which would... Because then the knight would be defending the queen.
Defending the queen, yeah.
7.5, 5.5, okay.
Yeah, 7.5, 5.5. It's switched around, isn't it? Now 7.5, 5.5 to Northumberland.
Really? It's switched around that much?
Wow,
that is quite a turnaround.
Yeah, 16 boards. So actually, Northumberland just needs one more point to win.
So that's despite the turnaround in the Charlie Story John Cooper game, which we saw.
So John Cooper won that game in the end.
It must be said Northumberland seem to have been doing... I don't know. No, it's not that clear all the way down. I thought it looked like they're doing well on the lower boards, but no, they're doing... Obviously, they won the top 2. So this game is probably...
So there's only David Walker against Jonathan Nelson. Matthew Forster against Phil Watson.
Can we see Matthew Forster against Phil Watson for a moment, just to remind ourselves?
Let's see.
Becomes very important, I think.
Yeah, so Matthew Forster against Phil Watson is this one. With that wall of pawns, where we weren't quite sure how we were going to make progress. The rooks
Thanks, Kenworthy39. Nice to have had you with us.
Thank you, Kenworthy39.
Thank you for the learned. Don't get that too often either.
Yeah, 7.5, 5.5. Okay, so now we better remember which side. So who's which? Matthew Forster is...
Matthew Forster
is Northumberland.
Northumberland and
is White.
Looks to me like he's finding a way to make progress.
Oh, yes, knight f6.
Okay, but there's bishop d3 in return. but oh, what?
Queen e6.
Queen e6. So with the very simple idea of queen takes e5.
Yeah.
And
Discovered attacks to come.
Discovered attacks to come. Okay.
Now the queen could check on G. Black queen could check on G7.
Yeah, but then after that, and then in that position, White's threatening queen e8 mate into, or queen to the 8th make into the bargain. So probably even king
F3, right?
Or something.
Yeah.
Yes. This is looking a bit bad news for Yorkshire, I think. Assuming I've.
Yep. And let's see the other one as well. So Christopher Back against William Robinson.
Yep.
And so this one.
This one is good.
William Robinson is Northumberland.
Yeah, this is good for Yorkshire. This one. White is actually simply a rook up now.
Yes.
Yeah, that's basic. This is basically game over after rook c1 and c5, I think. Yeah, no, that one's game over. That's fairly straightforward.
Yorkshire. Okay, so Northumberland needs basically 1 point from those two, either Matthew Forster or David Walker.
Yes. And right now it's
Matthew Forster. That looks quite promising for White, I would say.
Yeah, no, this looks very promising. Not quite sure how he managed to effect this breakthrough, but he certainly has done. Yeah, something like bishop c4 or something doesn't really affect anything. White can just take on e5 anyway. It doesn't. This little attempt to distract White probably doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Queen e6 is a very strong move. It's just, I think this looks pretty grim for Black now. Okay. Wow. So wait, remind me. That one is. Oh, he's tried bishop c4. Okay.
He has. So we're expecting to see. Queen e5.
Okay, I suppose the question now is how devastating are the discovered checks? So if Black plays d3 or something, how terrible is this discovered check? You know, we might discover it's not that terrifying.
Yeah.
For example, knight d7 check, queen g7 check might, after d3, might just win for Black because the d pawn can't be caught.
Right. So you'd want to knight g4 checkmate.
Wait. Sorry, that's not even true. So d3. I mean, I'm not saying that White should play this, but it's kind of an amusing line. d3, knight d7 check, queen g7, takes, f6 check. I'm not quite sure where Black's king can go. By the way, I really, really don't think White should play knight d7 check, but
no.
Oh, wait a sec. But it's interesting that even that doesn't lose for White.
So about knight g4 here, check.
Yeah, that looks more logical because it keeps that knight h6 mate idea alive, doesn't it?
And if queen g7, you can go f6 now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's one very strong way of doing it. Okay, but knight g4 check, king g8. What's the final winning idea? No doubt. But a solid move like queen d4 is. I was wondering about this move. Is this move just...
So queen g7 check now.
Oh my goodness. This is not how he should do it. d2 now. What's happening? d2. Is this high time trouble? Because this looks like definitely a chance White.
Well, he's got a minute. They've both got a minute left.
What, for the whole game?
Yeah, but they get 30 seconds each go as well.
Yeah, okay, but that's time trouble even by my standards. I mean, that's problem time trouble. So in this position, I would play, I think, bishop d3.
Bishop d3.
Keep that e4 pawn covered, and then try to go bishop c2. Oh no, bishop c2 is still king e2, so white should play
You just go knight
5
to 1
here,
now,
and he might be saved by the fact that knight takes his check. But okay,
Ooh.
it's all happening as I said, remarkably. But I mean, something like bishop c2, king e2, d1, knight takes, bishop takes f5 is hardly going to plan. But no, of course, black's better off just keeping this awkward situation for white. Now, king e6?
King e6, yeah.
Okay, but there's no threat with king e6.
Yeah.
Gosh, this is a real turnaround because this is a game that should really have gone. Now knight bishop g6 now, yeah?
Yeah.
And now we're going to end up with some minor
King
piece
e3.
ending, and black is
Yeah.
not worse. Yeah. King e3. Okay. Yeah, then king takes. Oh, hello. Hello. And that's a clever move. I didn't see that move. That is a clever move. So we now have another situation where I mean, maybe, sorry, when I say it's a clever move, it may or may not be a good move, but it was an idea I hadn't entirely spotted. Okay, b5 now, maybe? Or something? I don't know. No, that might be a way to try and get a lost pawn ending. Wow, this is complicated.
Yes. Oh, we have a result on board 4, which is a draw.
Uh-huh.
So that must take. Let's see the score actually.
That must mean that now the Northumberland only need another half point. Yeah,
So
win.
7.5, 6.5. It's saying that must be without the board 4 draw.
8-7. I'm just.
It's 8-7.
Yeah, plus this game.
8-7 plus this. Okay. Whoa. So this game. Oh, but do Northumberland win on tiebreak anyway because they've got the top 2?
Yeah, quite perhaps.
Boards maybe.
They might quite want to win not on tiebreak, I would have thought.
Yeah. Okay, so Matthew Forster from Northumberland would like very much to draw this game. Matthew
Forster was, of course, winning this game. So
he was winning. Yeah, he was.
There's a degree of excitement they might not have reckoned with.
Yeah, but actually,
knight g4. Okay, that was neat.
He's fine, isn't he? Because he's just going to take off this d pawn next.
No, he's very fine now because
he's winning now.
I think black's just made another mistake from having been. Oh, but wait a minute. There's h5 to come then.
Yeah. Okay, but you must take on d2, surely. Yeah.
Yeah. Now there's h5, and who knows? Sorry, I was a bit harsh there. I'm not sure he did make another mistake.
So how's this?
I
wonder.
So if white plays knight f2, king f6, h4, and king e3, how does black break that blockade?
So knight f2.
He breaks the blockade by going bishop d5 and waiting for some kind of zugzwang, perhaps. Oh, I think. Oh, well, I was expecting h4 instead of king e3. Now black can go king g5, presumably.
Yeah.
Whatever else, he should almost certainly try that, I would have thought. But maybe he can go king f3 to g2, and that's very difficult to break down as well. Don't know. It's quite exciting stuff, this, isn't it? It's a ridiculously close match.
Yeah. All on this final game. Well maybe not all on this final game. It would be
worth knowing what the tiebreak
is. I think probably it goes on the top boards.
Okay, so we've got to go king g2 now, I think. Otherwise, bishop d5, check bishop e6 at least opens a whole new can. Yeah, I don't really see how we can Zugzwang white to win the h3.
Thanks, David. Okay, the minor counties has been won by Devon, 9-7.
Oh, let's just see that.
Even closer. The under 2050 has been won by Essex over Surrey, 8.5, 7.5.
Wow, so this is 9-7.
Surrey CCA has won over Warwickshire under 1650s, 13.5, 2.5. So that one was quite more one-sided. Essex 7-5 against Surrey, so that one's still going. And Middlesex have won 9-7 against Yorkshire. So these are all very close matches. Well, nearly all.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. There we go. Yeah. So this is... Oh, no, it's not the last remaining game. So there's still some games in the... No. Is the under 1450? Was that...
Yeah, those ones we didn't have a live...
No, I know we didn't. But was that 12 boards or is that still going on? It seems odd to have a bunch of games from the under 1450 still going on.
No, I think that's... Let's have a look. 12...
7-5 final score.
Yeah, no, that's just the 12 boards.
Okay, that makes sense. Yes, that really would be strange. Okay. Yeah, so this is the last game going on in the place, yeah?
I think so, yeah.
It looks like it could be going on for a while, actually. Well, I mean, if it's the decisive game, that's almost unbearable tension for them. So did Black just come back with king g5? He did, didn't he?
Yeah.
That was the conclusion I was coming to. There was no Zugzwang way through there, so something like that was going to happen. Oh.
I guess White would want to have that pawn up pawn more to h4, do you think?
Well, that's what I thought, but I'm not entirely... Yes, that was my initial suggestion, was to try and do a blockade like that. This is clearly the conclusion Black's come to as well. So, but after king f4 or something, how does he...
King f4, I think, yeah. And then White's going to need to get the knight round.
By the way, it's probably worth just noting that if White played b3 or something at some stage and then tried to play something like knight a5, it's worth noting that he can't take the pawn on b7 because Black has the right bishop for the right rook.
He's gone b3, okay.
It's a bit unfortunate.
Jack is saying even if Northumberland loses this match, they win on board count. That's what we think, but we are just guessing this.
Sorry, was somebody confirming our view?
No, it was a question.
Yeah, if it's a question, that's no good. We don't know, but we suspect. But yeah, so it is actually quite important now that it's the right coloured rook pawn. Means that knight a5 takes b7 is not an option for White, which it would be otherwise.
Yeah,
that's. And you kind of think, was that planned or is that lucky? Great questions that can never be asked.
So they're going to be playing on increment now for the whole rest of the game.
The whole rest of the evening.
The whole rest of the evening. Well,
what about that move? That's a very strange move because there's bishop d5 and then the knight is dominated.
Oh dear,
yeah.
That wasn't good, was it?
It could have been disastrous. That's a strange one. How does he rescue that knight now?
Can anyone in the crowd confirm?
Oh, hello. He's
what
gone.
we think?
He's gone for my not drawing one colour rook pawn.
Uh-oh. How are Yorkshire getting on, please? Okay, so Yorkshire 7-9. So so Yorkshire in the under 1850s, Middlesex beat Yorkshire 7-9. In this one, the Open, it's 8-7 to Northumberland. So very, very close. This is the last game going on. Yorkshire's better in the final game, so it could be an 8-all. And then we're just trying to get confirmed what happens there if it's an 8-all tie, who then wins.
Yep.
Because Black should win this game, really.
Black will win this game.
Yeah.
Very confident of asserting now.
Board count. The number of boards won by each team should be added. But that's going to be the same, isn't it? The team with the lower total shall win. What does that mean?
Oh gosh, with no boards taken, because sometimes they take off. Oh no, it's kind of Swisses and things where you take off the lowest board.
Number of boards won by each team should be added. They'd have the same though, wouldn't they?
Would they?
And the team with the lower total shall win.
Yes. I think White could save himself the agony of the rest of this, actually. Oh, hello. That's right, okay.
Poor old Matthew Forster. He had such a nice position, didn't he?
He did. He was. I think. Yeah, he had a really good position.
So this board looks like it's going to be a win for Yorkshire. It's going to be 8-all.
Fairly definitively, as Black queens the pawn, that this will be a win.
The pawn now.
In fact, I suspect White may resign at this moment. And then the one of us who has a degree in mathematics should add up the board count and.
But I don't understand what you mean. Add up the board count. Oh, do you mean add up the numbers of the boards won?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I can get onto that. Okay.
I probably could as well, actually, to be fair. But
yeah. So we like add up.
So 1, 2.
Okay. All right. I'm going to write this all down then.
Are you really?
My goodness. This is
the job of a commentator.
The job of a commentator. Okay. So
he has resigned as predicted. That is the final game.
Okay. So let's share our screen while we're doing this complicated mathematics.
Well, you're going to share your maths calculation.
Well, in a minute. We're not going to rush it.
Indeed not.
Okay, so if you show the you've got it there now. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Let me. Yeah. Here it is.
So go on then. Read them out to me. Northumberland is a 1.
Okay, so Northumberland 1.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
8.
Yeah.
11.
Yeah.
14, 15.
14, 15. And what about the other ones? Yorkshire.
Yorkshire are 6, 7.
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
12, 13. And 16.
And 16. I think this is going to be Northumberland, but I'm going to add it all up.
Yeah,
so
I
10,
think it is
11, 22, 36, 46, 51. We want low numbers here to win. And so that's 6 and 7 is 13, 23, 33, 35, 45, 48, 58, 64.
Yeah. Okay.
So we think the commentators' view of the tiebreak is that Northumberland will win this match, very, very close match, on tiebreak, due to having wins on lower number boards.
Yep.
Norfolk lost. Oh, unlucky. Shifu. Okay, so just then, if you could just go back, Peter, to the sort of overall summary of the results, and we'll just whiz through them one last time. Huh. I've lost Peter completely, I think. Okay, I'm going to just see if I can just share my screen and get to that. Okay. There we go. So that was that one. And if I go to today's fixtures, there we go. So, okay. We have Middlesex winning the under 1850 against Yorkshire. We have Essex winning the under 1450 against Surrey. We have Surrey winning the under 1650 against Warwickshire. We have a very close one, Essex just pipping Surrey in the under 2050. We have Devon winning the minor counties from Norfolk. And then we have an 8-all draw, Northumberland against Yorkshire. And by our calculations, we get that a win on tiebreak to Northumberland. So there we go. A very exciting day of chess. I think there's Peter's back. Hello.
Hi, I accidentally took myself off the stream instead of going back to the main results.
Yes. All right. I've done the results.
I heard. Yes, that's great.
Yes, we'll wind up here. Very exciting game of chess.
You can't ask for much more than 8-all, can you? Really?
8-all draw in the Open. That's and both teams got out sort of very big team there. So lots of high quality chess. So brilliant. Thanks everybody for commentating in the chat and for following along with us. We've had lots of fun. Thank you, Peter, and
thanks, Natasha.
And of course, great job for all the arbiters and the people that got the live boards there so that we could follow along. And thanks everyone very much for watching.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot. Bye.